Good morning, traders. Welcome to it. We're going to take a look at what's going on with PPI. Yes, we got to take a look because you guys saw the inflation concerns come in yesterday, especially with what happened, of course, with CPI coming in hot, PPI coming in pretty much in line. A little bit higher on the year over year, and that's not a good outlook here. Let's take a look at how the market's reacting here. I'll throw up the market right now. Of course, we got a PPI for year over year at 3.5 versus a 3.2 estimate. Let's take a look at it here and see what's going on in the market right now as we speak. All right, guys, as we could take a look here, of course, we got PPI coming in here at the 3.5 for the year, and the market kind of doing this little back and forth here, guys. First action was up, then down, now back up. It's definitely a little bit of a shake there. The year-over-year estimate over that outlook there, and then you got the month outlook, at least the core PPI came in line there, and then month over month we did get another spike there, so that's not a good sign, at least from what I'm seeing there. But the market is saying we don't care. One thing, though, to keep in mind today, we will be getting some more announcements from Trump on tariffs. So we'll keep an eye on that action. Let me go ahead and pop out my scanner and get this ready here. As we get, of course, a scanner ready here for some smaller stocks and trying to catch another runner, guys. Yesterday was able to bounce back in the funded account and now only down $18 in the funded account. And I think that's very important. You know, yesterday I didn't try to swing to get it big back, like deep into the green. Just bring me back to almost break even and just keep playing the game. Sometimes it's all about being the survivor and then waiting to thrive, baby. We'll see what happens today, guys. SPY getting a little lift. We got a lot to take a look at in the earnings reports. There is a ton to get through. And one of my favorite stocks is doing well this morning. Bros. Yes, the Dutch Bros continues. And it's actually going higher right now as we speak. Look at the Dutch Bros chart, man, making a full circle back there towards $80. Of course, it was back here in 2021. A lot of people hit me on this stock as it kept down in 2023 because I was a big fan of it. Now, one thing I started saying, and that was in kind of the late 23 going into 24, was waiting to see what same store sales growth come back. And that's exactly what led the rally back in Bros. Now 3 consecutive quarters of good same store growth and productivity going higher. We'll see what happens there in Dutch Bros as it continues the lift off. And get your coffee, get those lattes ready. Pinkies up, my friends. Yes. Should I just go get my Dutch Bros cup? I know it's like right over there, man. I'll tell you one thing. I am a person that now lives in Florida and misses having Dutch Bros. Of course, I used to go to it in Colorado. And the real cool part about Dutch Bros is how it works. 2 drive-through lanes. It's like the Chick-fil-A of coffees, as I like to call it. And definitely you get that customer service. You get that fast action that you would get in a Chick-fil-A. And I am looking to see Dutch Bros go up and Starbucks come down, man. I just don't think that Starbucks can hold on here. We'll see what happens. It is making a breakout to the upside. I think maybe it's just a matter of that maybe all the coffee companies are doing well here. We'll continue to see what happens there. Remember, Reborn was one of the stocks, penny stocks that were doing really well just a little while ago. We'll see if this can maybe catch some love with some coffee mentions out there. But let's get to the stocks out there. Let's get to the playbook action. What plays are up my sleeve? Find out right here on Trade the Pool. All right, guys, first up, we're going to take a look at different stocks this morning. We're going to take a look at Airbnb is the first one that we're going to look at. Of course, Airbnb has had a nice momentum move off of different earnings in the leisure space and lodging space. Of course, we're looking to see what would happen with Airbnb as it's approaching a long-term trend line. And I updated this line, but I had it drawn already, created it on the May 7th. And now looking to see if we would get above that, right? Now we're starting to recover that area, and I think it's very vital. I talked about the 140 being an area to watch to see if we could recover it today. Already doing it. So this is definitely one that I'd be looking for. The travel sector is showing some strength across major names, especially kind of Hilton taking up there, Marriott doing pretty well, not doing bad off of their earnings. Yesterday they pulled back, but they recovered right back up. So we'll see what happens here in Airbnb. And will this darling actually become a darling? I think this is the time, guys. I know a lot of people have been waiting to invest in Airbnb, and I think now's the time, guys. So right now, I'm even going to maybe take a look at a long-term position in Airbnb ahead of these earnings. Because if the earnings could come in great, guys, and if that's what happens here, I think that we could easily start to head towards 165 and be at 200, maybe by the end of the year. We'll see what happens there. Airbnb, one of the names that I'm definitely watching, not just today, but also for investment. All right, let's keep it going, guys. Let's go to Pakar, as this is one that I've been calling to the short side of things. And you guys can see the monthly starting to break. Take a look at the weekly chart and how that broke right around the 105 area. And that's where I've been calling it from. We've had Pakar now on this list 2 or 3 times, and there's a reason why. The cut down through the 105, now gapping down on Wednesday and continuing the lower action. We'll talk a little bit more about Deere's earnings that were out this morning and another hit down, right? So now I can continue to see this sector starting to leak. We'll see what happens to the industrial space today. The tariffs can be weighing hard on these names. As of course, what are we thinking about? Well, you got to watch to see what happens with the tariffs, and also look to see what happens for demand deterioration as price increases, of course, hit heavy construction and farming equipment sales. Another one that I'm calling, and this is a turnaround. This is one that's actually strong right now. I'm actually looking to see if Boeing can start to do a key reversal. So it's been really kind of bullish to the upside, trying to break out towards this Tuesday from the 28th at 188. I'm looking to see if we can just come right back down and crack back through the 180s. If we crack through the 180s, I think this could actually come tumbling back down towards the 140s. We'll see what happens. Of course, I'm against Boeing here because there's multiple headwinds that I can see intensifying. Of course, delayed deliveries, the space division losses, and ongoing labor issues that continue to affect the company. Yes, they did solve those, but they solved them at what? A high cost. So I think in the long run, that will be affecting the bottom line. And another thing now driving the issues is the tariff-driven cost pressures. So keep your eyes on that. We'll see what happens if this starts to potentially accelerate on the downside. I'd be waiting to see this one, right? Really show me that it wants to be weak, because right now it is strong and kind of turning things around. All right, guys, we'll talk about the Sunrise report. PPI already out, but Trump talk is going to be out today. Trump announcing reciprocal tariffs on countries targeting U.S. goods. This is what we'll talk about just coming up here. It's good to see you guys out there on X right now, on YouTube. Do me the favor, smash those likes. Get the subscribes going. And like always, if you're out there on X tuning in, hit the like button and the retweet. Let everybody know this is the stream that you guys can not only get some trade ideas, get what stocks are moving and why, and then also get the live trading action. Like yesterday, we had a great trader on, Anne-Marie Ban. On Monday, we had Dan Aarons from, of course, MSOS, and PISA, which are still doing pretty well. I need to keep an eye out on those cannabis stocks because Trump could be making a mention at any time. He was a big supporter of cannabis, so I'm wondering if we're going to see a turnaround there. And then, of course, PISA continuing up there to 1523s, and we've been talking about QNTM here. So can this one continue the love? We'll wait and find out, guys, but not looking too bad in this space overall. And we're going to continue bringing on different traders, different analysts out there. So if you guys have somebody that you guys want to see on this show right here, hey, let me know, guys. I'll tell you guys right now, I'm going to be reaching out to all the greats. If you've seen them on Bloomberg, if you've seen them on Fox News, seen them on CNBC, guess what? You can see them right here on, of course, TTP Live. You guys just let me know if there's anybody that you would love to see here. We'll definitely reach out and bring them on, guys. All right, let's go ahead. Let's check it out there. Please check your DMs, the DMs. Yes, I'll take a look at the DMs, man. Definitely smash the like out there. Vic, what's up out there? AIFF, how is that one doing this morning? Ooh, looks like it just got hot there, guys. I was watching this one early on, and it looks right at 7:30. And right when I come and start doing my sunrise conversation, AIF getting the lift there and continuing this one. Guys, yesterday I missed this one by a hair in the pre-market, guys. Oh man, that one's a little frustrating one. I would have sold out in the pre-market at that 12 pop, maybe not getting it towards the 14 look, but this is continuing the strength now towards 16.25, a complete takeoff here, guys. We'll see what happens out there, what we can come into. Sorry about that, guys. Just give me 1 second. Hendrix trying to jump into the show today, guys. So you guys don't get to see Hendrix too often. I know Steve shows off his cat sometimes, and I got one too. He likes to hang out. He's a Jimi Hendrix over here. He's a little rock star. I think the lights are getting to him. He wants to hang out. Should we let him hang out, chat? You guys let me know in the chat. Should we let Hendrix hang out here, or should we kick him out, man? Let me know, chat. He's being good. We'll let him hang out for a little bit. Maybe he can bring us some good luck today. All right, let's keep going in the market. Let's go over now to the Sunrise Report, where we take a look at what stocks are moving and why they're moving, of course. Let's take a look at it. All right, first up, of course, we talked about PPI. We'll see what's going on there. And of course, we talked about it, how the expectations were a little bit light, but the numbers coming in a little bit hotter. We'll see how that affects things here. Key earnings beats here. Let's get into it. Let's go now to Deere, as Deere is one that we definitely need to take a look at. And it was a little bit of a down hit here. I mean, it's not looking good for Deere. And I think this is just more outlook on tariffs, but that's just my conversation here. Because if you look at the numbers, it wasn't bad. EPS 319 versus a 314 estimate. Sales at 8.51 billion versus a 7.7 billion estimate. Fiscal year 25 income guide to 5 billion to 5.5. Warning though about precision AG sales expected 15 to 20% lower. So this is where I'm telling you guys, I expect the sales to take a hit. I expect prices to go up. This is not all good things for Deere or the farm and heavy construction area. Crocs, let's take a look at Crocs as Crocs gets the move and finally out of the beaten down shed, as this had been beaten down for a long time. If you take a look at the weekly, we've been down she goes. And I was wondering, even in December, would this one start to turn around? It did not turn around in December. It did give a little bit of a lift and then came right back down. Now these numbers are pretty good here, that it's finally able to start shaking it, right? And start to bring it back, right? So now we need to take a look to see if they can continue to do this. EPS at 252 versus 226. Sales at 989.7 million versus 961. The Crocs brand up 4% year over year at 762 million. Hey Dude brand fell flat at 228 million, but a 1 billion new buyback showing confidence here. I don't know about these buybacks, man. I tell you the truth, man, I hate these buybacks. I think it's just completely pointless. Yes, it will help the company, but just give it to the shareholders, right? I'll tell you one thing. What would be better for me and then that buyback is just give me a dividend. Then I'd start to come after Crocs, maybe, because at least I'm getting some money regardless. But yeah, we'll see what happens here in Crocs. Can that help a stock like Nike start to turn tunes, right? Deck is one of the strongest names in footwear and has been taking a big hit to the downside. And it's been on a quick disaster kind of move, right? Well, we'll look to see if it can get the bounce now back at a monthly support. But if this can't hold on, I'll tell you right now, Deckers might take down the whole footwear industry if it keeps falling the way it's doing. All right, let's keep things moving. Let's go to my favorite stock here of the day, Dutch Bros, of course. I've already talked about it, but what really happened here? Well, the EPS beat here at 7 cents versus a 2 cent estimate. The revenues at 343 million versus a 318 million estimate. So big beat on revenues, 160 new shops planned, and strategic pivot from Texas to Florida is paying off. Yes. Dutch Bros to Florida. That's what I need. That's what I want. To tell you the truth, I might have to run a Dutch Bros, guys, but the only way that you can own a Dutch Bros is you have to work at it, right? You have to kind of work at it for a certain amount of time, manage them, and then you can run them. I'll tell you right now, guys, if there's one franchise I want either a Dutch Bros or I want maybe a Raising Cane's or something like that. I'll tell you one thing, guys. I'm going to own one of these stores one day. I love running businesses, and I think Dutch Bros would be a great one. 2025 growth target, 21 to 23% growth. We'll see what happens there. Tech sector struggling, though, as Reddit gets the beating here, guys. Reddit down to 199, and on the earnings, it was not looking good last night. It went down to 177. It's climbed back already, and that just goes to show you sometimes it can be an overreaction here. But what really happened? It was down 15% despite a revenue beat. What happened here was the user growth missed at 101.7 million versus 103.1 million expected. So a little bit off there. It wasn't a crazy amount, about 2 million users. Google algorithm, though, changed, blamed for the slowdown. So, hey, they wanted to blame Google. I don't know how much they can blame Google. It happens all the time. Except this time they lost the users. All right, TTD, another disaster stock of the day, and complete disaster, guys. This is not looking good. Down on a huge revenue miss and Q1 guidance spooking investors. This is not looking good for the overall space for programmatic advertising. Of course, what has changed in programmatic advertising? Well, this is one of the things that Money Mitch does the best, guys, is sticking with the trends. For a while there, programmatic advertising was the biggest move, right? Because you could actually kind of advertise towards specific customers. But what has changed, right? We've gone through this whole new change in privacy where you need to accept certain cookies, you need to accept certain things, and that's affecting the business overall. So I'd be looking to see how this affects other players in this space, right? We could take a look at that with some players that I know right off my back of the head, right? Because this is what I do, guys. MGNI is one that I take a look at this morning. And look how it's already dropping this morning, right? So it did get a little bounce there at 715, but already back down to the 1855s. And I take a look at another one, right? There's plenty of names that we can take a look at here, but Magnite is definitely one that I would say is the closer name here. And there's a couple of names in this space, guys, that you guys can take a look at. Overall, the advertising agencies is another area that you can just take a look at to see how this kind of continues to kind of develop. And you got a couple of names that we can go through here, guys. So what I'd take a look at is what was on the upside to see if it starts to take a hit, right? And all these just don't look good, guys. So this just tells me more and more advertising could be taking a hit down here. And I think we got to keep to watch it. How's PubM? PubM, of course, Pubmatic. Pubmatic. I've talked to this CEO plenty of times, guys. I was wondering if this one would ever get really kind of going. It's just hung out there off the bottom. We'll look to see what happens with Pubmatic. Can they turn things around? Only one way to find out, of course. Trade Desk getting hit this morning doesn't make me feel confident. Last one we'll talk about is the data dog or the data dog, whatever you want to call it. Let's take a look, because right now it's looking like a dog, guys. This thing getting hit hard, guys, and this is going to affect the software space and the kind of the cybersecurity names. We'll see what happens with that. I was looking to see if Snow could make a nice little up break yesterday. It did do a nice little move, and it's holding in. I'd keep an eye out on Snow. That's one of the names I kind of like here. It's been holding well there, but let's take a look here. Datadog, of course, taking a big hit down. I think you got to look to see if you can get a 140 recovery today, back through 140, and the bulls can kind of hold things. They're just knocking it right to support. The only question is, can they actually get it back through that 140? The down action led to 125. I'm sure scared out a lot of traders. I'd be watching to see if you can make any move down below this low, which is the 132 move. If it goes below that, I'd be a little careful. We'll see what happens there in the Datadog to see if it could just start to climb on back. Definitely, though, taking a hard hit. All right, guys, that's going to do it for, of course, the outlook here on the Sunrise Report. But like always, guys, you guys can catch more of this on our Discord, on our Twitter every single morning, guys. And of course, the question of the day is, will Trump's tariffs announcement and the tech sector weakness have us rotating into defensive names, and which sectors look the strongest here? Things to be thinking about. And will these tariffs really affect the market today? I definitely do think that we could have a hard hit with these continued tariffs. At some point, this is going to turn the market. But right now, we're still in the euphoric stage of the bubble. And yes, I still feel that we're in a bubble environment. Reason why is you have names like Palantir that are trading at insane valuations, but continue to go higher. What does this tell me? That it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Fundamentals don't matter sometimes, guys, and especially in a bubble environment. Ask the people that traded the .com era how they did on these results, right? Like always, guys, smash the like. I see a lot of you guys joining in on X. Smash it up there, guys. I'm going to actually go on X right now, do a little retweet action. You guys out there, if you guys aren't following me, like always, guys, hit the like button. Let's take a look here. Definitely look at the Dutch bros getting excited. Everyone loves the Dutch bros, guys. I'm telling you, man, I'm going to actually pull up some old posts so that you guys can see my Dutch bros love. This is what happens when you drink Dutch bros. That reaction right there. Oh, yes. The perfect iced coffee, especially for you iced coffee fans. They absolutely love it, guys. All right, but like always, guys, you guys can always check out more on Trade the Pool, guys. If you guys aren't following us, go ahead and do so. I see some repost already, guys. Let's get to it. Let's hit the like buttons. I'm going to do a little quote retweet right here. Let's do a little bros action. Dutch bros. You guys get to see me do a little Dutch bros post here. Send Dutch bros, please. Send bros stock, more like it. All right, guys, putting it up out there, guys. Let's go. Get those retweets out there. Hit the like. And like always, you guys can click on the stream and actually drop a chart. Bros, you guys see that? You can actually talk to us, guys. Guys out on X, just click it and then get into there. All right, guys, let's keep going. We'll see what else is out there. It's good to see you guys. Look, and then you can bring on Money Mitch's comment right there. Bros, let's go, guys. All right, guys, we'll see what else is out there. Let's catch up. What's up in the chat? Hi, Hendrix. Oh, the love for Hendrix. Got to have it there. What's going on out there? Where do we find you on X? Well, I got you. I'll actually throw up my profile here. And of course, you guys can always kind of keep up with me on Trade the Pool. I put out a lot of stuff through Trade the Pool, and I also put out stuff on my own Twitter. There's my profile, guys. And of course, I'll give you Trade the Pool if for any reason you guys don't have Trade the Pool already. So there's some links. You guys should be able to just click on that and keep things moving. All right, Trump. The grown body will... Sorry, I could barely read this, Vic. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Trump, the grown baby, will never let the market down. I mean, of course, man. I mean, hey, call him a grown baby. Call him a whatever you want to call him, the orange circus, whatever you want to call him. The truth is, he's going to make this bad boy market keep going, at least in his mentality. If he has to leverage, if he has to bribe people wherever he needs to do to make deals, he's going to be pushing. One thing that I think a lot of traders are forgetting, and I put this out on my Twitter, and I'll tell you guys a little bit more about it, especially right now, because I think it's important, right, is this right here. And I'm going to bring it into the middle here, guys, so that we can kind of take a look at it here. And I could actually put this louder if you guys want to kind of take a look at it. But of course, this was a big move, I think, that a lot of traders are not talking about. So President Trump ordered the Justice Department to pause prosecutions under the Foreign Corrupt Practice Act, which bars U.S. companies from bribing foreign officials. This is massive for the market, guys, as this is going to create more and more deals and deals and deals, because that's what Trump wants. That's what my man wants. He wants to go ahead and make deals. Regardless if you support his deals or not, I'll tell you one thing. If we can bribe foreign officials, yeah, we're going to get growth at all costs. That's exactly what I talked about. And another thing, I pointed to seeing more and more after pausing on kind of the BRIC, the BRICS. Saudi Arabia wants to invest $600 billion in the U.S., but they haven't told us where just yet. I think this is massive because, of course, if they're going to invest $600 billion in the U.S. and they're going to get foreign officials to get bribed, you don't see what's going on underneath the hood here. I know I see it, guys. So I think in the long run, I think you got to continue to watch to see what happens with these deals with foreign officials, because that's how you continue to bring kind of foreign investment into the United States, which could continue our growth higher. We'll see what happens with that. Like always, guys, we'll take a look at what's going on in the market. There's so much to talk about. I'll tell you what, there's nothing better to keep it going with my man, Michael Noss. So let's get things started. Let's kick off the show for real, guys. It's 9 a.m. Let's see what we can find today, guys. Can we find another winner? I'll tell you one thing, I'm getting after it. The question is, are you? Hugo wants 200, baby. You ready to get back to the trading action?
You aim, you shoot, and make money.
It's going to be a great day. You guys know where you're at.
What up, traders? How we doing out there? Let's go ahead. Let's start the show. Let's bring on the man himself, the myth, the legend, Michael Noss.
What's going on, man? Another good.
What's up, man?
What was it? PPI today and FPI and
it didn't even come in well, but yet inflation fears grow. No, I don't think it grows on this because the reaction says exactly that. Exactly that. So I love the good old Jerry Springer button here. And definitely, guys, I just think the market just doesn't care. And I know, Michael, we could talk about this maybe during the show today, but I think that's exactly what you see in bubble environments. When just the underlining statistics and like what's going on in the economy almost doesn't even matter. Because we're looking at bigger and positive things coming to us, right? And I think that's what I think really is that you're about to see more and more deal talk come out, right? Mm-hmm. If there's anything that's been in the works right now, it's Trump talking like he's doing right now with India, right? And he's continuing to talk with all these countries to do what? Deal make. And I think it was very important. That's why I pointed to it about the Corrupts Practice Act being taken off. Why is that being taken off now? Because he's using that money. He's knocking on doors saying, I will give you this, you give me this, right? And he doesn't want to, of course, get attacked. So that's why he told the Department of Justice to stay on the sideline for some time so that he can do his work. And then I'm sure he'll tell the Department of Justice, oh, but you can bring it back now.
Well, I'll agree with all that, but maybe we'll have a debate later about the bubble talk. Market hasn't gone anywhere since December 6th, so we're well over 2 months of nothing. That's not bubble activity. Generally, things, right? You get asset prices expanding in a bubble, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think we're seeing that. So it's one of those that yes, it's all of what I say all the time about the importance of zooming out. It feels like the market's going up every day to day traders because it gaps down and gets bought, and it gaps down and gets bought. But net, market hasn't done anything. It's been months of just absolutely no action. So we can see here on the S&P 500, nothing's going on, right? So this high was made in December 6th, and we are now February 13th. Oh crap! I got to go buy something for the wife. That was a good reminder.
But yeah, good reminder for all you guys out there. Don't forget The 14th tomorrow.
Yeah, so we're actually down still from that price. So yeah, I wouldn't say anything to me anyway is bubbly, because we can start going through indices, but nothing's really moving too much. So we need to say yes, there is an underlying bid, just like we talked about yesterday. I said, listen, we're gapping down on some news, we'll probably get bought up. That's exactly what happened. We closed green on all major indices. Nice looking day. This pattern of gap down, get bought, gap down, get bought continues. But in the long run, nothing. Now, this to me is always the moment where we got to step back and say, what is the SPY, right? The SPY is just a bunch of stocks. And when you're going range bound, it doesn't mean no stocks are moving. It generally means some stocks are going down, some stocks are going up, some stocks are moving, some stocks aren't moving. And we can see a lot of that when we continue to come back here into the heat map. So like we've been saying for a long time, we've got a lot of things that are very material and oil adjacent doing well. So UNG, for example, again, full disclosure, I own a whole bunch of UNG. It's close to a breakout. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, doing well
URA, uranium,
Mm-hmm.
is doing great. We have a lot of these different material type names that are doing the best. Even DBC is about flat on the day. XLF is up. XES, which is oil and gas equipment, that's doing well, which would make sense for the whole drill baby drill things. Psychedelics still up. This has just been a monster sector all year long. So yeah, a lot going on here. That's just saying that under the hood, we are getting this rotation, right? We actually have RSP outperforming the SPY. And when RSP outperforms the SPY, just means these big guys, they're not doing too well, right? SMH, well below all-time highs. NVIDIA, below the VWAP from all-time highs, hard stuck in a range, nowhere near its highs. Tesla, everyone knows Tesla's been selling off a little bit, broke down under that support zone. Over and over and over again, these big tech names just not doing great. Right, Meta's been the only standout, with Microsoft just chart looking ugly. Google, right, chart looking ugly. So we're just seeing this rotation, and this is the lifeblood of a bull market. I would get more into the bubble camp if we were continuing to see Nvidia rocket to new highs day after day after day. I think what we're seeing is really actually amazingly healthy, where we're having different sectors perform differently, which again is what we want to see. We want to see sometimes energy go up, and sometimes technology go up, and sometimes real estate go up. And that rotation under the hood just shows that people are making money in sector A and then moving it to sector B and just rotating this money around. We're not seeing that flight to defensive asset. Plus, from a narrative point of view, I think the commodity kind of super cycle we're in, to me, makes, again, absolutely perfect sense, where if things are going to get tariffed abroad, then buy things that are made locally. That's why, again, UNG is the United States natural gas, USO is the United States oil, right? SLX is Vanex steel, which is made in America, that kind of thing. But natural gas, very, very excited here. We're getting close. I hope I don't get too I don't get rug pulled here, which natural gas is definitely one to do.
Yeah, no, it doesn't look bad at all. I mean, when you think about it, all those are pointing higher. And what does that point to? Inflation, though, in the long run, right? And I think that's one thing to think about. If these continue to fly high, we'll definitely be worried a little bit as inflation continues. I think that I was already stunned to see that the CPI made a little bit of a move up. I didn't expect to see that at all. But we did see that spike yesterday. PPI coming a little bit hot today, but the market's not caring right now. So I think that that's the way we leave it for the sideline until the market comes more in line with the economic data. And this can clearly happen in moments where I think it's just looking for growth. The market's looking for growth, looking for things to go. And I feel like in this time that we've had that sideways, we've had more of a broadening out. It's not just tech anymore, right? You see, like you mentioned, XLF has been doing really well. The financials have been doing pretty decent. Even defensive sector hasn't been bad. I mean, I have my equally weighted one out here, but you can just look at XLP or something like that, and
Yep.
it hasn't done bad. I mean, when you think about it, especially since about the 13th, we're up about 6%, starting to climb back. And if I just
Mhm.
run through these equally weighted sector outlooks, it really doesn't look too bad out there. A lot of sideways action, communications coming back pretty strong. Healthcare, probably the one area where it's not making too big of a move. Financials right at the top end of the range. Industrials, I'm concerned about, but it's really nothing that is the end of the world. Now, energy, I did start seeing take a little bit of a hit lately. So that's one thing to think about, right? If oil prices could come down, that can continue the rally, right? And take a look at the action that we saw in XOM yesterday. And I could start to see that, hey, could we start to break down even further in oil? And I think that this could be a part of the deals that are going on underneath the hood, right? One thing that Trump, I'm sure, is concerned about. He's still concerned about inflation. He's not going to tell you he is, but he is,
Mhm.
right? So he'll find a way to adjust. Well, bring oil prices down could be an easy way to offset the inflation that he's causing in different areas, right? What do you think
Yeah.
about that, Michael?
Yeah, well, again, from the first Trump presidency, we know that optics are the huge importance where it comes to, what the market's doing, bragging about that, what inflation's doing. That was kind of a lot of what he ran on, is that inflation was bad under the last administration, so we're going to change it here. So it makes absolutely perfect sense. Now, one thing that I did see when I was looking at what's going on here is we got Trump speaking again. So this is another tentative
Mm-hmm.
thing, so we don't
Yeah.
really know when it's going to happen. I don't know if the order that Forex Factory puts this in matters, but they have it actually after 1. I don't know if that means just tentative after 1, or if he could just pop on anytime during the day. So we got to pay attention to that. XLV, when you mentioned that, that one's really interesting to me, where it looked like we were going to break out the other day of this prior range, and then we got slapped down a little bit. So again, just showing that there's this resistance in some sectors. Some sectors are doing great, some sectors are doing poorly. Again, as traders, that's exactly what we want to see. It's more profit for us to be able to be long certain things and versus short certain things, as opposed to just owning Nvidia or the SPY and just trying to match that performance. But yeah, we're seeing this move continue where we're getting sectors that are rotating. So we have XLV pretty much unable to do anything. But when you mentioned energy, I think the problem with looking at kind of XLE here, or one of the energy overall ETFs, is it's including a bit of everything when it comes to prices. So basically, right, oil is getting killed. Right, oil, tried to break out of this range, got up to these prior highs, and then failed pretty miserably. But a lot of the other ones are actually doing okay. Right? Uranium's holding on, UNG is holding on. So looking at energy as a whole might be a little bit deceiving, where what they want to start doing is looking at these different areas of the energy sector and which one's doing. This is where some of these more kind of unique thematic ETFs make more interest to me, like NLR, for example. We know this one's actually doing pretty okay. So, you know, basketing energy altogether could be, because you'd imagine if he is going to do his, what was his theme, drill baby drill, that should bring down the price of oil. But that's where something like XOP, I think, is a great ETF to keep an eye on. And what XES, this one here, which is the Spider oil and gas drilling equipment. So these guys are the ones that make the drilling equipment as opposed to anything else. What's interesting is when I was looking at this chart last night, this is kind of what Anne Marie was talking about yesterday with this little. It had a, call it a head and shoulders or whatever it is, but this little dip under support came back up, and now it looks like it's putting in a higher low. So this is where our friend Anne Marie said she would look to get involved in something like this. I think this kind of makes a little bit more sense, is that you got to look at what he's planning on doing and then what could benefit from it. Because if it's drill baby drill, the price of oil should in theory go lower, but it means there's a lot of companies are going to have to buy a lot of equipment in order to do that kind of drilling. So that becomes something I think that's super interesting.
Yeah, and I think you can also watch to see if there's any moves in the U.S. right on drilling and things like that.
Mhm.
So looking for specific U.S. exposure, right? That's another thing to look at in the oil space. But we'll see what happens, right? I think this is an area that I always keep a watch on, watching to see how the reaction is now. Of course, one of the names that I had been looking at is MPC. It's been sideways
Mhm.
off of that attempted breakout, right? It had the attempted breakout, and it's just starting to struggle now. And I think that's something
Yeah.
to think about, right? It could have been a bull trap now at this point. I think you got to continue to watch the weeklies. That will help determine it, right? You can see a little bit of a cleaner trend on the weekly, but we'll see what happens there on MPC. Does it get
Well,
160 or 140?
right. So it's one of those things that you got to think about their overall business model, right?
Hmm.
Where if it is going to be drill baby drill, the price of the thing they're pulling out of the ground is going lower. That's not good for them. And there's the demand of buying the equipment in which they need to pull the thing out of the ground. That's going to go higher, which is
Yeah.
not really good for them. So it's one of those, they all right, the old saying that if you want to get rich in a gold rush, you don't go for the gold, you sell the picks and the shovels. So I think that's the kind of
Oh,
finding companies that actually build the drilling equipment and all of that could be something that's interesting. We're talking, I know me and Mitch, about building themes and building kind of little watch lists and baskets based off those themes. That
that's
could
what
be
it's
something that
about.
makes a lot of sense, right? So let's find 5-10 companies that build the actual drills and the equipment and kind of look at those guys, because I just think, just talking through what drill baby drill would actually mean, that would be a big benefit for them because they sell the drills, right? So they're selling the picks and shovels. That's, if
Yeah,
we go back to Nvidia, that's the reason Nvidia was doing so well during the initial AI craze, because that's what they
exactly.
did, right? It wasn't the people making the AIs, it was the company that made the thing that made
Yeah.
the AI actually end up working.
Yeah, it wasn't the AI products. It was how we're going to make AI run, right? And so those are the things that you
Hmm.
need to be thinking about. They call it the underlining asset, right, behind the
Yeah.
stocks or whatever it is, right? It could be a service, it can be a thing. Think about why it runs, right? I know, and I'll give him a shout out. My man, Jason Raznick, right, CEO of Benzinga, used to say the thing behind the thing, right?
Hmm.
And I think that's so important, right? There's so many ways of looking at it, right? But that's what you need to be thinking about, right? What are the things behind the things that have the drive, right? I think that's very important, a way of catching things and catching trends early on. All right, guys, we'll see what happens in the market today. Anything that's on your radar right now, Michael? What's up your sleeve, my friend? I was looking at Airbnb. They're reporting tonight. I was just
Hmm.
thinking about that one because it's just been such a stock that when it first IPO'd, so many people were so excited. They were like, Airbnb, man, it's coming out, man.
Yeah.
And then it just didn't do anything really. But what I'm starting to think about is that there's been plenty of these IPOs that struggle for a long time and then they make it. I think the important part is just not completely collapse, right? Just not completely be the end. The one that I'd point to, a very similar stock that has changed tune, is like Coin, right? And when first Coin came out, everyone
Hmm.
was beyond excited with Coinbase, right? And it was hit hard. It was hit on the downside and it went down. What did it go down to, like 50, $40? Um, and then
30.
and
Hmm.
then it made its way all the way back, right?
Hmm.
So I'm thinking, is now the time for the light to shine on Airbnb?
Well, so one thing, so super interesting, and again, as you know, I'm a systematic trader, which is, again,
Hmm.
what I'm trying to do is adding systematic day trading to my systematic swing trading and systematic investing. And one study, big study that I read, and a very famous trading idea for that's been on for a long time, is basically the knowledge that most IPOs undercut their IPO price. It's a lot. I think it's like 70% plus.
Yeah.
At some point, are less than their IPO price. And then so the one systematic strategy that a trader had been using for a very long time was just saying, okay, well, I'm going to wait for them to undercut it. I'm going to buy them as they go back through that IPO price and have a trade based off that, slap on a trailing stop, just like most trading strategies, you're right 30-40% of the time, but every now and then you get a Google or a Facebook or something like that when it goes back through its IPO price, it just absolutely rockets, right? So we can actually go to Meta. Let's go to the monthly chart, right? So here was the IPO on the monthly chart. It sold off. If you ignored all this, that's from 2012 all the way to 2000, end of 2013, buying it back through its IPO price. And then even if you just caught this trend right here, that's a move from $40 up to $200. That's an amazing move. So when I look at Coinbase, the little spin that I want to look at it, and something that I'm actually looking to maybe test and add to my my idea when it comes to trading different swing trading strategies, instead of just using the price, using the IPO. You can see here, this is a weekly chart on Coin, and this is one of the examples that I'm using. If you took every weekly close over as we broke through the anchored VWAP from the IPO, then you had a little bit of a good trade here. You probably got out break even, but great trade here. That was an amazing entry at 111. We're almost up, or we hit 300. So the idea here is, for those who don't know, the anchored VWAP essentially just represents the average price. So when you're anchoring a VWAP from the IPO, you're just saying this is the average price of this company from its IPO. This is what it's looking at for an average. So when that flips, it's like, okay, now the average price of everybody who's been kind of dollar cost averaging into the stock, well, now they're positive. They're probably pretty happy. So if you go to Airbnb, what is it?
Airbnb.
ABNB. There we go.
ABNB.
And now do the same AVU from the IPO. A couple little fake outs. Well, you had a couple week of a move here, a couple weeks of a move here, but we're back, and look how long we've just been consolidating directly under that anchored VWAP from the IPO. So far, if we hold this week, we're holding it above it. As you said, we have earnings coming up, so if we can get through there, that might be right. I like that trade because it's real simple. You're getting involved somewhere around this price. Your stop goes below that swing low, and then if you really believe this is kind of a long-term trade and it gets back to highs, you're already talking a 5-to-1 risk reward.
This is one of those that I can say there's been plenty of times where I've been like, Mitch, the investment bell goes off, right? Not the trading bell, but the investment, right? And this is a little different, right? We don't really talk too much about investments on here. But the truth is, it's up to you guys to determine what that is, right? And necessarily, I wouldn't be doing this on my Trade the Pool account, but I just think this is one of those stocks that if I look back, let's say 5 years from now, would I want some Airbnb, right? And I need to be asking myself that in an investment mindset. And I think in the long run, the answer is yes. Why? Because I've done it. I've traveled plenty of times now. And now that I have twins, even more do I straight look at Airbnbs over hotels. Why? Just the simple fact of the square footage, right?
Yeah.
Not to make it harder, but I mean, when you're like a big family, it's very hard to travel and then just to jam them inside, bedrooms, right? I mean, and then when you have kids, it just becomes a nightmare. Let's be honest, right? And that's not what you're looking for when you're on vacation. So I think that it's already been built into the mentality of people that are starting to travel that, yes, I'm getting an Airbnb. That might cost me a little bit more, but it's not that much more of a difference either, right? Especially with the prices that you're seeing in hotels now with inflation, right? So yeah, you might get the hotel for $200 something a night when you can pay the Airbnb for $300 something a night, right? But you're getting 4 or 5 times the space, right? And some privacy. That's what people are willing to pay for, the convenience factor. So I think in a time when, Airbnb struggled, when the market was struggling, right? But look from 23 on, and just look from 23 on. And that tells me a different story. That tells me that this has started to work its way back and now needs some investing love, right? This needs the underlying fundamentals to change here and the story to come back into play.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
And I think talking about multiple time frames is super important, right? Because again, Trade the Pool, you can do day trading, you can do swing trading. I'm someone who's, again, primarily, well, let's say it, I'm an awful day trader. So that's why I'm working to kind of systematize. A perfect world for me, I just ship out a bunch of orders on the open, or fully automate my day trading, because it's going to be better than I am. I just know that, because that's what I do with my swing trading. So it's the reason I want to do all of these things, and I think we should always be considering swing trading, day trading, and investing, is because doing multiple time frames and multiple styles is going to be the thing that's going to smooth out your equity returns the most, right? There's periods of time, I'm someone who I run 4 different swing trading strategies. And the reason I do that is because there's always a time where one's working and one's not. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to smooth out equity returns. That's our goal with everything. And what we're trying to do is to go through and say, hey, if I can add a day trading style to that, well, then maybe the day trading will work very well when the swing trading doesn't. And if I can add an investment style to that, that's going to work really well when the market's just trending higher. And every now and then you're going to get something that's going to be an absolute kind of banger. The thing's just going to rip. So by simply going through and saying, I am someone I don't like when traders pigeonhole themselves into, I'm a day trader versus I'm a swing trader versus so you should be a trader. So like what I'm doing with my swing trading or my day trading is I'm trying to treat it like my swing trading. Or where can I systematize it? Where can I say, this is a place where I can just help myself say, okay, I just want to, take some kind of trade that takes place here as well. So the idea is, how many different styles and philosophies can you manage and kind of keep yourself sane? And the more you systematize that stuff, I think absolutely the better. So I got 2 things from Steph here looking at. Let's take a look at these symbols with a few minutes left. AMOD. Ooh. Daily chart. That's an ugly one. What's going on pre-market? Okay, so this is moving a little bit pre-market. Again, every time I think I'm probably going to be seeing this, we'll call it the Anne-Marie, more and more with we've got 2 equal lows right here, and then the little dangly bit right there, a liquidity grab, whatever you want to call it. That went things looking interesting. And this ESDA, I didn't take the trade, but I actually got a trigger from this strategy that I've been working on. Again, fading the VWAP break, right? So looking for something that spends its whole day over the VWAP. A couple of the trades that I'm looking to take, right? Reddit was way too late, right? Broke through the VWAP right back here. TDD, this is one that's trying to trigger here as well. But again, the strategy is very simple. What I need to do more as I'm trading this more and more is size down. I've gotten stopped a couple times, like daily stopped. So I need to prevent that by just sizing down on them and letting them work. Palantir, right? This thing's just been a rocket ship. So if we break back through the VWAP on the open, I'll look to take some of that. BlackBerry is still a company, I guess. This thing's been surprisingly strong.
Still around.
Still around. So I'm looking to fade. Again, the idea behind these, we'll talk a little bit more when they happen, is I'm trying to fade the break of VWAP. I'm trying to fade gaps either higher or lower. If it's gapping up, I want to short it. If it's gapping down, I want to buy it. Cisco, again, this one happened in the pre-market as well a couple times. And then Robinhood to see if we can end up breaking and fading there. So that's the idea behind. We'll see how many happen. I'm sizing down the risk. I've got one of those 20K accounts that I'm trying with. The idea is I was risking 100 per trade. That was just getting me stopped out too much. I may have to go and get another account there. But so I'm lowering that again to 50, right? So just, again, trying to find the sweet spot when it comes to what I can risk versus potentially what I can make there, and taking you guys along on the ride to try to see if I can make this strategy work. Again, the idea is 2 to 3 trades a day. And then, just set them up in the morning, this first hour and a half during the market day when we're here chatting, and then walk away. Let them work until the end of the day. For me is going to be the best strategy, because what I'm doing is I can't take too much time away from my swing trading. So it's, again, what we're talking about is when you're adding new time frames and new trading styles and philosophies, you just got to say, okay, well, what can my brain take? Like what can I end up doing?
Oh, it's important. Like right
can't
now,
put too
I'm
much on
I'm on the
yourself, right?
struggle. I'm on the struggle right now. Like yesterday, had to focus on the funded account versus focusing on the eval account, and I was up
Mhm.
big on the VIX trade, but I had to focus on the other trade. So I ended up not taking profits in one just because my eyes are all over the place, and especially once I leave the computer. Right here, I have all the screens, right, so I
Yeah.
can keep the balance. But once I go and get off the screens, and I have to maybe manage a position with my good old app or phone, that's
Mhm.
when things get even more difficult, right? Where you got to be more limiting and not trying to make so many decisions, but more being focused on key levels, right? And things
Yeah.
like that. So we'll see what happens today. We're getting a good question here right before the bell. We'll try to answer this. I'll try to address this a little bit here. Could you guys share how do you do trades in pre-market? I tried to do it today using a limit order, but couldn't get out when it started to move the other direction. I ended up losing on a winning trade. And so the situation here is, of course, don't forget in pre-market, only limit orders will be able to be processed, right?
Yeah.
There's no stops. There's no stop limit. There's no target profit. There's no stop loss on the
Mhm.
charts. Like if you just use that, those are market orders. Those are not limit orders. Another thing to understand there, right, is when you use that chart in order, you're using market orders essentially. No market order will go through there. So one thing I talk about on pre-market trading, and I do this with the penny stocks all the time. So I sell into strength versus the weakness on a lot of times with these pre-market moves, because the liquidity will be jumping on top of each other. So you'll see it kind of jumping up on the offer. So a lot of times, what am I doing for? I'm looking for the push and I'm selling out on the bid, right? I'm not so much throwing my limit on the offer. I'm throwing it on the bid side and getting out quickly, right? When I want out, I want to get out. I want to hit that limit. I want to hit the bid and I want to get out then. And if you
Mhm.
need to, you can use an offset look. If you see the bid at, let's say it's 990, you can put out 987 when you want to get out. So if you take 987, you'll take 987, right? I think this is important. I think this is how you go ahead and you get into and out of these trades. Another thing is not being too greedy in the pre-market. When you're up big in the pre-market, I have a tendency of taking that cash, right? Because the truth is, we just want to build like that nice cushion in the pre-market. If you can build a nice cushion, there's nothing like coming in the market with some cash in your hands already. You feel so much more confident, and then you can take bigger shots during the intraday action, right? We'll see what
Yeah.
happens. And always don't forget, pre-market is always going to be higher risk because of the liquidity issues of not being able to use stop loss and things like that.
Mhm.
All right, guys. 9:30. Let's go. Markets open. Let's have some fun, guys. I'll give you guys this one interesting to watch. Robinhood today, right? But what about Robin? ROBN, the 2 times long hood daily ETF here, guys. So keep this one on your radar here. ROBN. I got you, Michael.
There we go.
Yeah, it looks
Just
interesting
saying,
here.
just
Nice
wild that
little 15-minute
everything
pattern.
seems to have a 2 times leverage ETF, doesn't it?
One of the strategies that I use on my swing trades, and I kick it to you to maybe see if you can maybe work this in as maybe a day trading strategy, Michael, is looking for positive stocks and then looking for hourly long pullbacks to support to
Mhm.
undercut and rally off of that. So essentially, you need to look for the cut of the support, and when it comes back through that support, to take the trade essentially, and then risking off the low of the day from that, right? Or maybe slightly below that, right? This is what I used to do a lot of the times when I was getting my swing trades and doing really well. Last year I didn't focus too much on my swing portfolio, but in 2022 and 2021, I easily could I broke 30% in 2021, like 20 something in 2022. And there was a lot of doing just this, trying to find good charts, looking for hourly pullbacks right out the gates, try to get in on those hourly long pullbacks, and then setting the stop right there,
Yeah.
and then just letting it work. If the next day I was green, the next day I'd move that stop to break even. And then I just let the trend work from there.
Mhm.
But that's just the kind of the swing trade outlook. Let's go trading, guys. Let's see what we can do today.
So yeah, I'm just taking a look here at the SPY, kind of like I always do. I marked up the pre-market high, the pre-market low. again, this is a strategy that I'm going to look to take if I can end up making it work, where you quite often see this. So let's see how this ends up happening, where we have bled through the pre-market high just by a couple ticks. It looks like we're potentially failing. So I'm going to be interested to possibly, maybe, end up taking a short here if that ends up occurring, where we look to take that pre-market high and then we end up failing off that. I think is an interesting play. So again, that might be something that I look to take an account or something, just to see if I can play this strategy as a little scalp. Is right. Do we end up failing? I've just seen it happen so much where we end up, again, hitting the pre-market high, hitting the pre-market low, hitting a major VWAP, reversing from that, where people are getting trapped in there. So I'm watching this one closely, again, just to see if I can take a little scalp on these kind of things. So other than that, there's not too much that's going on that's interesting me here. I was looking at this BBAI. Yeah, this BBAI, that this thing has just been on fire. And although it's not meeting the gap up, right?
I would trade it on Monday when it didn't do well.
Yeah, just a BBAI.
BBAI, Big Bear, the Big Bear.
Yeah, so this indicator is taking a second to load. So yeah, this one isn't technically a gap up, so it's not technically what I'm looking for with this strategy, but I may want to look and start to incorporate some of these as well, where these potentially could be the same idea of fading these, simply because it is up so much.
What's going on in Corsair Gaming right now, guys? CRSR, big breakout there, and you don't usually see this. Couple of raises in the streets today. It looks like Barclays maintaining. So there you guys have it. A couple of ratings. Wedbush upgrading. TD. So this is interesting, guys. This is really getting some love. I mean, that's a nice pop. 15% out the gates. So you don't see this often. What could move off of this? You got to know the names and the names. What's a name, guys? I'll test the street out there. I'll test the chat today. Hey, guys, what's a name that could be trading with Corsair that is also a very similar products game company like this? Hint, it's slow like a... It's the opposite of the rabbit. Turtle, baby. Turtle Beach.
I know, but I didn't want to. That was actually a pretty good looking chart. I think I've been in a swing trade for that.
Turtle Beach, man. Turtle Beach. So I'll take a look to see if that can come in effect. Turtle Beach, TBCH. Of course,
nice coil here on the pre-market high. So Razor, I don't think is listed. I think it's Corsair. And I think that's about it when it comes to Corsair and Turtle Beach. I think are the only two.
Yeah. And of
So
course,
take a look at the SPY.
Has Elgato, right? Where I'll tell you right now, there's probably 3 or 4 Elgato things around me. this screen right here, Elgato.
Yeah, I got the mic. I got the little Stream Deck dealy thing.
Yeah, that just goes to show you, right? Like Michael literally uses the best mic they got right there, the Wave.
And then I got this little guy too.
Yeah, man.
A lot
you
of
gotta have your Stream Decks, man. If you ain't got your Stream Deck, I mean, what are you using, guys? Come on out there. I got the big boy and the small boy. I need to bring the small boy back out. I'm telling you, Michael, we're about to make this thing pop off.
Cool.
Once I get the sounds going, oh man, it's gonna be like Kramer here. Bye.
So yeah, this is interesting too. So I ended up just taking 100 shares here of the SPY in one of my accounts, just to play this, what I was talking about, right? Marked up the pre-market highs, pre-market lows. Pretty simple. Again, I'm trying to see if I can do maybe one scalp a day on this. So I'm about to just take profits on it here, just $30 or something. But just seen this so much where we're getting to these major levels that I mark up in the morning and just doing a little bit of a move off them. So I'm going to take that, and it's ended up being $40 there, or 50. There we go. So it's a nice little 50-cent scalp just off those. Again, just something that I might add to my repertoire as just a way to potentially just take a little bit of shot there. I'm probably going to be out too early, but who knows? So the other levels I'm watching are the pre-market lows, which are right down here. Then I still have this anchored VWAP from the CPI print. We talked about this yesterday, anchoring a VWAP from a super important level. And you can see over and over and over again, we hit that zone, we bounced off, we hit that zone in yesterday. So I'm going to see if that still comes into play today. I have up on another screen because Steph was watching that this what was it? EDSA. This thing is wild.
I'm watching it, literally hands on the trigger for that stock right now.
Yeah, we did a little rip in the morning.
Oh,
It does not care that the market is actually selling pretty well here.
yeah, man.
So
I'm
pretty
actually
well
gonna
off that
pull up
level.
the other account here. So I was able to set up there the two platforms. So you can do the two platform setup, guys. I got worked through it, and how did I get worked through it? Our lovely Discord, of course, guys. So now I got two setups there. So I'll be able to trade both of them, guys. The one thing that I'll probably do is on my main screen, and I'll ask you guys if you're okay with it. I mean, I'm not doing this just to take it away. Might take away that filled orders box here and then fill it with the other position box, right? So that at least we have like both the eval and the funded that you could see there. But you guys let me know, right? At the end of the day, I leave that filled orders there to show you guys the transparency, right? That I'm not like just cherry picking off of you guys, telling you guys that I just got in and I didn't get in, or that I got in at one price and got in at another price. There's tons of furus out there that do that, guys. I'm not ever going to be one of those guys because I just don't care. That's not what I'm here for. Not here to try to make money off of you guys. I hope you guys make money off of me.
Yeah. So this ESOS is doing very well. Taking a look at some of these other ones that I'm watching from this setup is TDD is still kind of hanging out under this VWAP. So I've got this
TDD,
one on watch just to see if we can break back through that. It might look like, what was it, Lyft yesterday? Right, that ended up being a pretty good trade where it spent a lot of the pre-market under VWAP. When it broke up, it had a nice move there. So I'm watching this TDD just to see down 31%. So again, we're not hoping these things recover or fill the gap or do any of that kind of stuff. That's why we have the 2-day VWAP here, and we're going to target that, and you're going to see that's going to come down pretty dramatically because there's way more volume today than yesterday, and it's just kind of how moving averages work. And again, watching this ESDA with Mitch, but it's just struggling here, just farting back and forth a little bit. So we got to just keep an eye.
I liked it at 310 right there, and it did do a nice little like kind of 310 pullback there again, and it's trying to hold the 310. If it breaks that 310, I kind of don't like it. But the big thing for me and why I didn't jump in this one is I was trying to respect the rules of my 15 to 30 minute outlook, and if I jumped in there, I was jumping in the middle of the chart on the 15-minute, and I hate jumping in the middle of the chart. You just get a lot of times you'll get a support test, or it goes to resistance and then cools right back to the middle. And then you just feel like a pig. You're just there just watching and then break even or in the red. And then even when you get in the green, you don't feel like you get that much green because it's not breaking the resistance. So tried to hold off on that play and just be patient here and just let it go. Sometimes you have to let these small stocks go. You're not going to catch them all. The number one thing that can hurt you is try to chase one of these names.
Yes. Yeah. These are, especially off the open, there's just so much kind of battling going on with a lot of these smaller names where they're trying very hard to, there's people out there who woke up and they were up 3x and they're taking profits. There's your Momo traders.
AUR, guys. Lift off in AUR. One name that I've been talking about in the autonomous space. Sorry to interrupt there, Michael, but definitely nice lift off there, guys. I don't see this move too often in AUR. Look at that straight move to 777. Fast. This looks to me more news related, but big rip up there. AUR, look at that. Nice move there. 17%, guys. Yeah, that might tell me to look at Mobileye. So Mobileye is right now off the 1722s. So just looking to see if this can recover the action. Of course, it's pulled back since Monday. Hit the 9 EMA again. Filled the gap. Looks pretty here today. I'm going to be watching that. I like that setup.
That ESOS popped through the pre-market range,
Yeah.
Put in a little topping tail there, so we'll keep an eye on
EDSA also ripped there.
EDSA.
Went
That one.
to yeah, I got you. That was it. 377. Nice rip though.
Yeah. So, no, that was an interesting little play there. So again,
Going for
watching that one,
Mobileye.
that's not anything that I'm looking to take from my particular setup. Again, still watching the trade desk TDD and waiting for these alerts to come in. So the beauty of them is, again, I'm spending a lot of time off stream trying to automate these systems the best I can, because again, I know where my weaknesses are. So the more I can automate, the more I can just have. I'm waiting to, if we get some sort of auto trading here, I'll be very excited. But yeah, the more I can automate, the best. Some that I miss off the open, right? CSCO broke down right off the jump there. Looking at
I'm
Hood.
long on that Mobileye, guys. Taking the shot on the Mobileye. That EDSA though, the 310, that wouldn't have been too bad there. Now it's pushing 377. Can it get to 4? We'll see if it gets going there, guys. Missing some plays today, guys. I did bounce back on yesterday's trade. XLO got me back just $60. 3-1. I just took it. I said, you know what? Let's just bounce back. We don't need to get into the green on one trade. Took off 3 of the trades of the losses. Have about 4 losses on that account. So I'm only down $18. Let's go. Let's trade.
Yeah, the SPY is just, we're stuck here in this range now. We're trying to come back up to the highs. I don't think I'll take another trade there. I think that might be an interesting challenge, Mitch, that I was thinking we should do. We should each open new accounts, like bigger guys, and do a 1 trade a day challenge. I thought that would always be fun. We're only allowed to do 1 and just see what would happen. Something
I
makes me
think
think it'd be better.
that's the best for a beginner. I'll tell you that right now. As a beginner, your decision-making skills aren't going to be at the absolute prime time. You got to kind of develop that over time. I'm seeing a theme here, guys. LAZR now showing up there, guys. So autonomous theme going strong. This is what I'm talking about, guys, where I like catching themes, right? This is where I make the money. Why? Because I can swing trade things like this, not necessarily only day trade them. LAZR, nice jump there. AUR jumping. That's why I'm going Mobileye. That's why I'd like to see Tesla up. Boom. Let's go. Let's go. That clears the wheel for me.
Tesla is really interesting from a daily chart here.
Yeah.
Let me just, right. This area, this breakout area of, 350, we undercut that. If we rocket back through that level, again, exactly what our buddy Anne-Marie was talking about yesterday. You look for where they're hurt. If we reclaim this level that kind of everyone in the world was watching quickly, so many people shorted through there. So many people probably got stopped out of positions through there. That's one of those that you could see, right? She was always talking about, where are they trapped? Well, right, they might be trapped just in that zone. So that's an interesting one, that Tesla, for swing trading as well as a day trading standpoint.
Yeah, one way that you could maybe trade it is use one of the leverage names if you want to go lower price, right? So just bringing up, there's a TSLQ and there's TSL. That's a 1.2. So many of them, man. There's TSLG 2 times. TSLL. Yeah, I like the direction one. I'm with you on that one. TSLL, probably one of the ways to do that. Also, the short ones too, the TSLQ. If you're just the shorter and you like the short, you can just do that one. That's the 2 times L short side, right? So,
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
these are great vehicles. Now, again, I'll give the same caveat of be careful. Don't hold these for long periods of time, because they just naturally degrade over time. But for trading vehicles, they're amazing, because why not just apply less capital to your trade? Like, there's literally no reason I can think of not to. So, right, give that a shot if you're interested with those guys. So, a lot of people asking for your hat in the chat there, Mitch.
Oh, they want it. They want it. They want the hat. The hat. It's hot. It's hot.
Hood just triggered on the sell setup. I am going to take some here, just a small position here in Hood. I'm saying a small position loudly because I just again went through a lot of my trading, and
Quantum Biopharma showing up, guys.
I've determined my problem, and my problem is
Sopa.
oversizing.
Happens to the best of us, my friend.
So
SOPA opens up after a halt. If not, I'd be looking at it, guys. The reason I can't trade this is it's already up too much. So at least according to the rules, I wouldn't be able to trade it. But it looks interesting there. Yoshi's back, baby. Yoshi. All right, guys. Well, let's see if Mobileye can break through the 1740s here, guys. Got a significant amount here. I got 1,000 shares at 1730s. Looking for this to break now. Get towards the 1740s. Of course, this is in the eval account. Let's see if this can really start to push here.
So yeah, Robinhood is flushing there a little bit. We have going to go back, take a look at the SPY, see what's happening in the overall market. We'll take a break in like a minute or so and just see what's happening in these sectors. We got back to that pre-market high. It looks like we had a little rejection candle from there. So yeah, that's just more action, right? Again, it seems like we have to build up some strength to really clear these pre-market highs one way or another, but just stuck in the middle of the range. Taking a look at the dashboard quickly just to see everything that's going on. Mostly green here. Yeah. And just little bits of red throughout. So pretty much everything is up. It's wild to see both ARK and bonds up on the same note, but it's just super interesting. So yeah, we got some Bitcoin selling. Bitcoin's still range bound, so I'm not really too interested to talk about Bitcoin until something occurs here. If you just take a look at a daily chart, we're just hard stuck in this range. So just something has to happen one way or another there. So that's why you guys hear me probably not talking about Bitcoin that much, because it's just chop. So SPY is looking like we may be pushing down a little bit from that low. So we'll see what ends up happening there. Again, here's my Robinhood, 50 shares. So it's a lower risk. Targeting this 2-day VWAP of probably like around $60 a share. That would be a decent little chunk there. And the orders are set. So now my job is to not look at it, which becomes hard. But so yeah, the SPY, again, just chopping around. We look at the Qs. They're also doing the same. Let's do the pre-market high. These ones overshot that pre-market high way more than the SPY. I don't think that really shocks too many people out there just because of the way that moves. And then there's the pre-market low. So stronger on the Qs, but that's just what's been happening. Big tech is just kind of stronger overall. So again, I don't think that surprises anyone that we're seeing a pretty decent move here in the big tech space. TEM is starting to go again. I just have this
Tempest.
one because I own a bunch. So I just look down at my
tell the truth. You own it because of Nancy.
Broker. I do. Well, that's what I actually I got it on the radar here because we were talking about it on the show. And
it's
then
Nancy.
Yeah, like I mentioned, they're getting more and more new short, right? As of as of the 15th, they were just shorting into this rip, the institutions, the large guys. So as they're shorting into this rip, that makes that if we are now at all-time highs, we pierced all-time highs a little bit for TEM. You know that if we're at all-time highs, that mathematically every short that's out there in the world is having a bad day. I'm totally okay with that. So Robinhood selling a little bit. This is where, again, I'm trying to get better at this shorter term trading and scalping. So I'm actually just going to take a little bit off here just to teach myself to trade. Again, what I've been fully upfront with you guys is that I am not a good day trader, and trying to tell you guys what my weaknesses are. And one of them is that I've trained myself over the years as a swing trader that you got to let things go and you got to have big goals and, for me, it's one of those 80-20 rules where I look back at my year, and I've had some stocks that have just completely made my year. Day trading, I just got to look at completely different. I got to say, okay, let me take money when I have it. I saw that we were coming into this pre-market low and this pre-market base. So I just took a little bit off the table of the trade, and then I'm just going to leave the rest at its target. So that is hopefully what I'm trying to learn. And then we have BBAI, which I'm still watching here. All right, I took this short as we failed at VWAP. So I'm just looking to see if this thing comes into 922, which would be the 2-day VWAP. So if we can get there, that'd be a good little trade on that one as well. But scalping little bits of profits on both of these to teach myself. Just take the money. You're day trading. You're not swing trading. You're not investing. You're not holding these things forever. Again, a big problem that I have when it comes to this. So I hope someday to conquer this so you guys can say that you watched it. You were here live as Michael stopped being awful at day trading. So TDD says signal arrow appeared. Let's see if that's true. That is not true. So I have to go back and take a look at this this code a little bit tonight because it's doing some false alerts here.
That's interesting. I was looking at the Airbnb calls. You guys don't hear me talk options often, but I'm looking at the 141 call for February 28th. Just considering it here, Airbnb starting to come back through that 140. It just looks interesting, but I hate playing into earnings, man. That's the only thing keeping me back.
Well, the vol crush, right?
Yeah,
That's
man.
the
It's
problem.
just, yeah, I'll have to wait for tomorrow and look for hourly long pullbacks, things like that. I could day trade it today, but that's about it, guys. So
that's kind of a 2025, 2026 goal for me, is to get a little bit more into the option side. I have a 2-year designation / degree on options. So all the theory stuff I have down totally, but it's like, we know that doesn't mean much when it comes to trading. So what I want to start doing is that when my swing trades trigger, that I am looking at the option side to see if there's just a more capital efficient way to express the same trade. We're looking here at the SPY grinding a little bit up to these prior highs. So we got to keep our eye out there as things start to grind a little bit as well.
watching Mobileye, looking for the breakout to the upside here, and looking at Tesla, looking interesting at the 1930 area, at least TSLL. Of course, Tesla would be at 347 there. Recovery, it just got that. Q's starting to push to the upside. SPY pushing to the upside. Let's see if we can get some breakouts now. We'll see if Tesla can bounce back today. It doesn't look like a bad candidate for a bounce back.
Yeah, taking a look, I'm seeing here if there's an update from tentative to something with Trump speaking, and no, it's still sitting at tentative. So
that's the reciprocal tariffs that he'll be talking about later today, and not expected to announce that. The only question is when. There's no answer to that.
Yeah, so I just keep looking to see if there's update on the streets, as Mitch will call it. And I'm setting up here to more of.
Man.
I want to set up
hims and hers, man. We keep missing this play, Michael. Look at that rip.
Wow.
They don't want to stop, man. And it's running away from the 9 EMA, if anything, just looking strong.
Wow, yeah,
man.
monster.
And the crazy part is that this was like a stock that was just pushed as soon as Trump won. As soon as Trump won, this stock has been like out on the streets, like everyone in retail wanted it. It's up 135% from November.
Wow. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, man. And the trend, this is a swing trade type of stock. And then now that it's grabbed that 9 EMA, it doesn't want to let it go. Even yesterday pulled back right around it. Low 42.80, 9 EMA around 41.93. Beautiful. Beautiful. AU is one of those names that has been trending too, man. I wish I'd still have a little piece of it. There's Tesla pushing a little bit more. Can we get the action here to really kind of lift off on Tesla? I think it could get back there towards maybe even like a 364 outlook, and then look to get hit on the 9 EMA again. But here it is, starting to push here off of the 347. Q's SPY looking pretty decent there. Airbnb coming back through that 140 looks interesting for me. Google going sideways. I'm trying to look at the big boys here to see what's going on out there, guys.
Yeah, just going back to the heat map, more and more green, right? As the day continues. This was mixed in the morning. We're seeing more things turn green again as the market kind of continues to take a push here. We're back to that pre-market high. I don't think I would ever look to take that trade again. Hood is doing great here.
SPAI alert
Thanks.
on smaller stock moving.
All right, so I'm going to take another. I'm learning my lesson here, guys. I'm learning my lesson and I'm taking profits. I went through, so where a lot of this came from is I went through all of these VWAP fades and pretty much all of them worked a little bit. And I was just stubborn and didn't take any profits on them. And then they all kind of came back to get me. So I'm learning my lesson here and scalping this thing out a little bit as it goes.
Yeah, the VWAP fades. A lot of times I feel like cashing on the supports, first cash there and then look for the continuation. We'll see what happens there. I used to do that trade often. But those VWAP fades that you're doing are nice little, like kind of an adjustment, essentially trapping the VWAP long traders. And that's not a bad setup, man. I think it's kind of like a strategy that's developed from a strategy. And those are the ones I
Right.
like. Those are the
Well, and
ones
this
I
is
like.
what our boy Kenny, right, taught
Yeah,
me
we're
while
gonna
I
have
was
to
in New
bring
York
Kenny
there.
on, and we're gonna have to bring Kenny on and have him nail it out, and maybe let his son take the show on the show, take the reins on the show. I want
Yeah,
to see how his son trades too, because I know he's trained them very well, and I always think that's important too, kind of like seeing like the next man up, right? Because if you can teach this strategy and actually get people to learn, that's a whole nother thing, right? Kenny's been doing it for a while now, especially VWAP strategies. So he knows the game, right? And so I think that's important to kind of look into. We'll see what happens, guys.
Yeah, so taking some of that off the table there, just a nice overall trade, and then stocking this TDD still just to see. But yeah, so again, didn't quite get to the 2-day VWAP, but trying just to pay myself a little more and mentally trying to be okay with the fact that I'm scalping here, right? I'm trying to figure out how to get in, get out in a couple a couple tranches on the way out, make a little bit of money and move on with my life. Again, going through all of my history of all the blown accounts with Trade the Pool and everything that I've been trying day trading, the main issue has always just been too big, too much, right? Trying to go for, like Anne-Marie was saying yesterday, trying to pass the account in 2 or 3 trades, that kind of stuff. And shouldn't be the goal, because if the goal is to kind of make this a more longer term thing and make this part of my trading arsenal, then it should be about coming in, taking a few bucks out of the market, moving on, right? I can apply that money then to my swing trading, and that's the thing that's going to really have the ones that end up doing well. So until, and I'm excited for a world, I don't know what you think about this, if you read the news about Schwab opening 24-hour trading as well. So now we have both.
I'm not a fan of it, but hey, it is out there, right? Just like I wasn't a fan of going to kind of free order flow. Thought that just let the computers in more, but that's just my outlook, guys. I think that sometimes they fool you. They say, "Look here," they don't tell you what the left hand side is going to bring, right? And so I think that when that happened, that whole change where you started to see commission free trading, it changed the markets.
Yeah.
Regardless of what anybody wants to say, I think the markets, like if you look behind that, Yes, there's historic, there's a lot of like training, there's a lot of like really known kind of let's say financial geniuses behind a lot of the studying that we've done, but that was before the free commission world. And I think at that point things changed. Strategies kind of fell apart also because of that. At least certain edge out there, I think it was lost in the market. Why?
Hmm.
We just let the computers in even more. Before, at least they had to pay a little bit more. At that point, we just let the doors open.
See, and it's funny because I, for one, am excited for the 24-hour market. I want the destruction of um, day trading and
Let's go,
swing
Mobileye.
trading, right? And all this stuff to just completely go by the wayside, and there's no such thing. It's all just trading. That, to me, that's super exciting. Again, still stalking TDD, hit that VWAP, rejected it. This might be one of those that just never ends up breaking, and that's fine. But look at the SPY just rocketing here through this pre-market high. So yeah, very, very strong there in the overall market. So another day that, right, bears got a little bit worried about, right? We gapped down again on the SPY, right? Just a little bit from our high of yesterday, and then we rocket. If you include the pre-market range, right? We were gapped down pretty big in the pre-market and then just ripped into new highs. So the bears are wrong again. And the day that we are gapping down and I don't go on Twitter and see them all celebrating, that will be the day that we'll finally sell off or take a little bit of a break there. But it's just not something that's happening right now, that's for sure. So if anything, what I'm watching here, if I'm interested in taking any more trades on the SPY, is if we come back to this level, if we come back to this pre-market high, which we're doing now, it might be a place where I just say, hey, do I pick up 100 shares there and see if I can just get another little bounce off it? Because that initial sell that I took against that level worked really, really well. So are we just going to get that move again from the other side?
All right, looking for one more boom here to take the money and run and Mobileye up a decent amount here, guys. I'm just looking for one more like kind of tick higher here to start kind of recovering here on the hourlies. Resistance could be around the 780s, 770s. So I'm looking to see if I can push right to 770s and take that cash. Then I'll look to just try to keep playing with it. So can keep riding this type of trade. Tesla right back to the highs and does a wick there. That's putting me a little bit on the pullback concern.
Taking a look here, there's some news that just came out. I'm watching this a little bit more. Something I don't really care about from the swing trading side, but I should from the day trading side, is some news on NVIDIA and HP Enterprises, HPE, potentially grabbing a shipment that wasn't expected. So just buying more of their new Blackwell CPU or GPUs for more AI stuff. So just a little bit of a market doesn't seem to care that much, but again, just keeping a little bit more of an eye out on breaking news here. So the SPY, we came back, we tested that level, we held it at least a little bit for now. So again, this might be an interesting little scalp to take here on something. Usually when I'm trading the SPY, I'm actually looking at something like SSO, just because I've got smaller counts, so they're a little bit cheaper there, and then also I just less buying power. I mean, I'd say if you're day trading and there's liquidity in double and triple leverage ETFs, why not? Why wouldn't you end up using those? Because you're just utilizing less buying power. It doesn't mean you're taking double or triple the risk, right? You should be taking the same risk. It just tells you that, hey, there's just a little bit more overall liquidity in a lot of these names.
Woo-hoo.
Less buying power.
AUR now to 822. Big lift on the daily, guys. Does not looking too bad there on Aurora Innovation.
Nice. Your Mobileye still grinding there, still doing well.
Grinding, man. And I was thinking about taking the 200 there at the 1750s, but Tesla going right back to the high here. SPY is pulling back and Q's pulling back. I'm looking to see if Tesla can just keep chugging along. That's one that is strong on the day. Could continue strong there. Let's see what happens. Mobileye coming back on me there. Might have gotten a little greedy on the 200 there. Looking for the kind of the $400 win off of the 770s. It got to 1758. We'll see if Mobileye can continue here. Just looking for a trend line hold.
Yeah, that was a pretty wicked spike there on the SPY. Just through. Looks like it's recovering now. So I don't know if that was some sort of a flush or what that
Yeah.
was, but that's very interesting to me when it comes to sometimes you have these flushes below major levels, and if they get reclaimed very quickly, there are little scalps that get taken on those.
Boom. There's Tesla, new high. Glad I was able to catch that early on. And you guys know I've been bearish on Tesla, but look at the flip, right? Don't try to stay to views long term. Views are good for swing position trading, right? They're not so they're not so good in the intraday action because views can somewhat take you away from what stock is doing today.
So XPXL is a triple leveraged ETF. Just looking, I don't think there's a lot of liquidity in that one though. Might be something, just something TQQQ, I think is generally the go-to with a lot of people. So there's probably going
Yeah.
to be most liquidity in a name like that. Because again, I'm just watching the SPY. If that was just kind of a fake out, a little dip and rip, then it might be a nice little trade to get taken there. I'm still watching this TDD. Just again, if I need to see a 2-minute candle close, which is the entry rules above the VWAP, I'll take a shot there. Again, risk $50, stop at the low, see if I can scalp out into any gains. But the SPY's not really cooperating, so we need to see a hold there. I'm running on another account some of my automated systems again that I've been back testing. If they end up performing well, I'll go over those. But looking exclusively short for some of those, maybe something that I look to do anyway. It's something that I've been rattling around in my head as someone who makes most of their money from long only swing trading. Part of me wants to just be a short only day trader as a way to hedge against that total gain, but we'll see here. Um, if these strategies end up doing okay at all, if they're flipped.
I think an interesting name, guys, long term that I'm watching, and it had some decent earnings yesterday. QS QuantumScape. So in the battery space, guys, I feel I think batteries will have a little bit of a comeback. And lithium overall, I think will have a comeback this year. So keeping an eye on that. LAZR is another one in the autonomous space that I'm watching right now. Looking to see if this can make a nice little break back above 6. It's holding on the kind of the VWAP there. Tesla pushing.
So I did take a little bit there, I took TQQQs again, just looking for another little scalp on the indices. Again, as I'm trying to shorten up my time horizon a little bit more. Again, the idea is we had this line and acted as resistance here, and we did that little flush through, and we ended up bouncing off it. Just trying to see if I can capture another couple bucks to the upside. If this ends up working, you may see me being, when it comes to the discretionary stuff, may see me being just a SPY trader, just someone who trades just the overall market, which I don't think there's anything wrong with if you can end up having a couple strategies like that end up working. At least the liquidity is there overall.
I agree. I agree. All
I
right,
don't
guys.
think
We'll look to see if the market keeps going, guys. The big boys are struggling. That's one thing I think that's interesting today. I do see that the big boys aren't doing as good as I would expect to see it.
Yeah, overall, I think people who were, especially if you're day trading equities, you will, without a shadow of a doubt, do better overall. It's just more of one of those things. Which what is your goals, and kind of what do you think you'd be better at? There's way more potential gain in markets, but again, ETFs might be something that uh, are a little bit interesting. So yeah, I'm just going
Growth
to scalp
stocks,
that out
man.
there.
Growth stocks, your Tempest AI looking awesome, guys. Just recovered to 80 there, doing pretty well. Coinbase doing really well. Shop doing really well. Hood coming back to the VWAP, actually looking interesting there. Might take a look at Robin off of this, but I'm seeing a lot of growth names doing really well. ARKK is a good example of that, and you're seeing the strength there. A lot of strength in growth names here. Archer up 6%, doing really well. Look to see how these names continue, but not a bad action today.
All right, so I did end up just taking out some on that TQQ, well, all on that TQQQ. So just a 25-cent scalp. Um, Getting more and more interested in just doing these because the two scalps I had today on the overall market was 50 cents on one and 25 cents on the other. And that'd be good if I could end up doing that most days. So we'll see. I'm watching here to see if we end up failing under this pre-market low again. It might be time to reverse because we're failing at that all important level. And again, just playing the chop. You know, this seems to be the only level the market cares about right now, in which we've got this pre-market high, pre-market low. What's interesting is, right, Mitch, you were talking about how a lot of these big names are doing very well, but the SPY, the overall indice, is just really in a zone. So again, more of that rotation that we talked about, that you don't need to see, you know, a big move on the markets to have big move on underlying names. It's rotation. It's kind of exactly what we want to end up seeing.
So what about a little VIX meltdown here? As we see the market start to drive here, I'm just thinking about it. I'm seeing a lot of growth names up. I'm seeing Tesla start to lead. I'm wondering if we start to see some of the big boys turn around. Nvidia doing really well. SPY doing really well here. Q's trying to push. And the VIX has been trying to make the move on the hourly for a while now, and that's above 43s. Now it's starting to struggle there. A bunch of wicks there. So that's what I'm thinking. Maybe we can cut the 42.61, and we all know how the VIX eventually comes down. It eventually comes down. That's just what happens, right? So I'm just calling for that, as it could be a nice trade here on the cut down through the 42.61s. Might go for a little bit more of a scalp look here on LAZR, guys. I'm fighting myself not to do it, but it's kind of hard not to do it here. I like the setup. The reason why it's a nice little 15-minute pattern here through the 6 is the kind of the trade. But this is just trying to jump off the backs of the AUR and the Mobileye and the Tesla, right? And so it's just jumping off that trend type of trade. The only thing, though, that I would say is that I hate like double dipping. And that's essentially what I'm doing on it, right? So, you know, that's the hard part. What I would normally do, and like, let's say if this is my swing account, well, I'd be taking some money from my Mobileye that's already in the green and using that for LAZR. So I'd maybe take some profits here and then look to see it. Look at LAZR as I talk about it, right? Usually you miss the trade, so let's see what happens there. 599. You see the VWAP hold, the up 1, down 1, up 2, down 2, up 3, down 3. Right here, in my eyes, the rule of 3 is in play already. Shouldn't break the 580s or the 578, and looking for the 6 break. You measure the flagging action is about 38 cents. So from the breakout, about 38 cents, just kind of rough angle to look at that. Let's say through 6, maybe towards 630s, 640s, kind of top outlook there for me. We'll see what happens there, LAZR.
Well, I like what you're talking about there, Nick, with potentially diversifying, basically saying that LAZR and Mobileye are going to move in some kind of tandem, but by just spreading out your risk across them, it would help to say, okay, I don't need to pick the exact name that's going to benefit off this. I'm just picking a theme, and then I'm going from there. So basket traders are something that is, again, something very, very common. I know a lot of day traders, and that's what they do, is they look for themes. And then when that theme starts moving, they hit one button on their computer, and instead of buying whatever, right, if it's quantum, instead of buying RGTI, they're buying 5 of them, and with 1/5 each across all these different assets. And then the idea is that if they're right on the theme, they'll end up making money. If they're wrong on the theme, they'll end up losing money. But they don't need to worry about being right on the theme, but just picking the one that, for whatever reason, that day doesn't move with the rest, because it may have, you know, someone unloading a big order or something like that.
Yeah, big order went through there on LAZR. Somebody said, I want out. There was about 33,000 shares there just flowed through there. Mobileye, I'm stepped up to the plate, guys. I'm at 1,500 shares now. So definitely a big position for me, but just riding the wave, right? And just trying to ride the wave higher. We'll see what happens there in Mobileye today. Really just looking for one more wave now towards the highs, break that high, take about half off, and let the remainder run.
I'm just here, and BBAI is the only position I have on right now, and it's just chopping. It's under this VWAP. I'm just looking to get a little bit of a breakdown here to cover into, but it's chopping. It's kind of stuck between the VWAP, and then it's stuck between these pre-market lows. So the longer this goes on, the less I like it. I want things that are more like a hood, in which, right, it's back up there now, but it broke down and it moved from there. So I'm staring at this hood chart and saying, Michael, this is why you got to take your profits. This trade would be a loser now for me, instead of being my biggest winner by far today. So I'm going to watch this one. The only time I may take another trade is if we end up failing back at that VWAP again. Better to take, again, go back to our Anne Marie interview yesterday. She talked about it's always better to take multiple small trades than one big one. And yeah, so I'm just kind of, as I'm talking to you guys, I'm actually really talking to myself and just saying, hey, you got in, you took your money, you moved on with your day. So if we get back in, then, right, we can end up maybe taking 2 trades and then making money. Whereas if I had just held that first trade, I would have ended up losing. So looking to scalp. That's what I got to remind myself. I got to walk around in the morning and just yell scalp over and over again. Taking a look here. There's LAZR, but just pop in. Quick update to the market.
Q's riding higher. Q's
Yeah.
riding higher. That VIX trade looks interesting, man. Honestly, if I wasn't so big Mobileye, I'd probably be short VIX right now. And you guys know I like to long the VIX, right? Like you guys have heard me long the VIX, 3-4 times in the last 2 weeks. But that's another thing that I can do with the VIX. And I think that's why I like to trade the VIX. I can flip on the VIX all the time. I can flip short. I can go long. I love the way it trades. Has usually liquidity. You just have to be looking for the momentum style moves, willing to cut out early on risk and looking for momentum. It's kind of like playing a penny stock. I'll be honest. It's kind of like that.
I know a guy, and that's all he does. He's a swing trader, a systematic kind of swing trader like myself. But for his intraday action, only playing the VIX. SPY, very interesting. We hit that high, pulled back, right? I took this long in through here as we held that level, got out, and yeah, it's just continuing to rip. So pre-market high held, and market continuing to move. Just got a question in the chat about my AVWAP level. The only difference should be with VWAP shouldn't be time frame. It should be whether or not you have pre-market on or off. That's going to make a difference. And then whether or not you're paying for that data with TradingView, which I am, to give you. Otherwise, you can have sparser pre-market candles and your VWAP will be off a bit. So mine's sitting right at say 63.70, 172 for hood. And then just in case they were asking about BBAI, right, it's going to be 996, 997. So again, it's just whether or not have your pre-market on or off is going to make a big difference, because especially when it comes to things that are doing a lot of volume in the pre-market, right? Of course, that's going to matter a little bit more. Again, SPY continues to rocket. We go back to the dashboard. Pretty much every sector now is green. The ones that are down a little bit, we've got some nuclear names that are down. Moo is agriculture. China is down a little bit. Psychedelics moving a little bit lower. Just looking at, again, I'm trying to keep more of an eye on breaking news. There was some talk about a final confirmation dealie when it came to RFK, which is, I guess, what everyone's watching from that psychedelic space.
That Tesla, man. Tesla is moving, guys.
Oh, so here's our news. It's probably rocketing the market. Tariffs delayed until April 1st.
VIX down through the 42.61.
Yeah, so just joking, no tariffs. Now April 1st. So just again, we kind of called this. I think we pat ourselves on the back a little bit because being you traded through this before, where it's just it's bluster. It's, you know, chest thumping, these tariffs, basically saying I have the power to do this to you anytime I want with a stroke of a pen. Now let's, you know, come over to my house and, you know, we'll take a have a chat, right? And this is what I want from you. So yeah, we need to keep in mind that this could change on a dime. If something
Yeah.
happens that he doesn't like, he'll put the tariffs on. But again, this is more of a his big stick. He's saying, this is what I want from you. So it doesn't specify which tariffs. It just says, again, I'm just looking at a tweet from my boy Evan, who's Stock Market News. President Donald Trump's tariffs will not go into effect today, may start April 1st, from CNBC. So
Trying to get cashed on the offer here, guys, on Mobileye. At least take out half here. Good profits already in the play. So this is what I mean by, so right now we had a question earlier about getting like where you can't get the profits. Right there, I just jumped on the bid instead of the offer. I was on the offer at 68. I said I want out. I jumped down towards it and it came to me, right? And so sometimes if you're noticing you're putting out your limit order on the offer and it's not getting hit, what is really 2 pennies going to be for me here? Not much. So I'd rather take the money and secure some profits. So there you guys have it there, taking some profits on this one and about to take the money and run because we could still get a pullback and then the next opportunity. So I do have the profit take towards 18 on the top. But now I'm going to start bringing up what? I'm going to start bringing up my stop loss towards around 1750s to start. And as it keeps going up 10 cents higher, I'll raise the stop loss, essentially a trailing stop loss, but on my action, not just a regular trailing stop loss. But I might take the money and run here because at this point we are getting extended. But the only thing I can look at is the Qs and the SPY continuing to hit highs. If that trend continues, I can be good. But if I start to see the pullback, I can take and run with the money. Tesla, though, 355s now, man. We brought this up when it was at 347 recovery. What a trade right there. I hope somebody was able to nail it, right? AUR was the one that gave us the insight on this. This is why small caps can sometimes give you insights on what's going on underneath the hood. I saw that immediately and I said, well, it could be an autonomous type of day, right? That's why I went to Mobileye. That's why I looked at Tesla. That's why I said LAZR. Look at LAZR now. I was talking about LAZR when it was at 90s. 590s. It's a nice little scalp look, right? I didn't say it was going to be a monster, but hey, it's getting the move. And this morning I talked about would Reborn get a little bit of some lift off of the Bros action, man. I need some Bros coffee here, but we'll see what happens out there. The Dutch Bros taking over, man, taking over. How's Starbucks doing today? Getting hit on it. I thought it'd get hit on it. I think this is the beginning of the end of Starbucks. I'm going on a limb, but I'm calling it, man.
This Bros coffee up here in the Great White North, so you're gonna have to fill me in a little bit. Is it just like a direct competitor?
It's always about the names, right? Like if I was on media right now, how would I call Dutch Bros? It's the Chick-fil-A of coffee.
Something else I have never been able to have is Chick-fil-A, and all of my American buds are saying
you're missing out in life, dude.
Yeah, they're like, you got to do it. We don't have, at least I'm sure we have Chick-fil-A's in Canada, but in my little fishing village, we don't. I got a question. So we got some.
Let's do it. Let's get to it.
Guys, are you planning on doing this every day? We do every day except Friday, where we may be launching some podcasts or something. So stay, definitely come by the channel every day. There's going to be something coming out. And will I be here every day? Absolutely. So that's a good answer.
Just guys, cash and starting to see that pullback. Cashed. That's it.
BBAI, I'm yelling at myself to take profits. So we finally got that breakdown of the pre-market low. So I'm scalping out little bits here. I've taken about half of the position off, starting to dig out of some holes that I've created for myself in some of these accounts that I'm messing with. So again, just yelling at myself while I yell at you guys. It's just
all out. Mobileye, baby, Mobileye.
Nice work. Nice trade.
Cash, baby, cash. Let's go. Nice $424 made there in Mobileye. Can it keep going? Yes, it could go to 18, I think, on the action. But hey, I see the pullback come in the SPY. I said I would take the profits and run. Not going to go and fight that mentality, right?
Mhm.
Because one of the things that you have to do as a trader is create decision-making skills. If scenario analysis tells me this, I'm going to react and do this. The one thing that you can start doing that can really hurt yourself is saying you're going to do these scenarios and then not executing on them. Because then you start to get that execution paralysis where you're thinking about things, but then you don't do them, right? The one thing that I think is important in trading is you think you do, right? And in that way, at least you start to build that decision making skill to not be something that you second guess, but just follow, right? So, especially for those traders that are struggling on execution, definitely you guys out there on Twitter, out there on YouTube, hit the like, especially before you get out of here today. And you guys out on X, how we doing out there? What's a stock that you're looking at? Just click the stream. Let us know. We're doing some trading, ready to keep going after it. Starbucks coming down there. Looking for the SPY to make some type of pullback. I would love to see the SPY or the Qs come back to the VWAP and wash out some of the bulls right now and give me the opportunity to get back in.
UNG. Every time I'm always scared to even bring this up, just because, again, full disclosure, I'm long an irresponsible amount, we'll say, of natural gas, but it's getting very, very close to this prior high, which is around the $20 a share mark. This has been, when we take a look, the strongest all day on the heat map. So really, really strong there on UNG. And then again, BBAI telling just more evidence of just I gotta learn to take the money. That's what my goal is. So I took a bunch down here. I still have a little bit of the position left, but I was able to scalp out a little over half. So kind of regardless what happens, it will be a break even or fine trade. So again, just as I rant, I'm doing it more for myself than even for you guys. Just day trading is different from swing trading. So I got to scalp. Now on the market, just wanted to show here quickly, we are at all of these highs. So again, this particular chart on the daily chart has pre-market data turned on. And I like to do this for the SPY. I don't really do it much for other assets, but for the SPY, just because it shows, look at all these highs, right? So we have all these highs going back almost a week that we're at. So if we can get through those, that shows just a lot of resistance, right? Even with pre-market off, you can still see we're in this range, call it 606 to 605, just a lot of highs there. And so if you see a lot of highs there, it just means that's a lot of places that sellers came in. If those sellers are wrong and this thing ends up pushing higher, then right, you've got a lot of short covering that's happening. You got a lot of longs that need to catch up. I am 100% expecting in the very near future for this range to finally resolve to the upside, because it's the market and it trends higher, right? It doesn't make sense to be bearish on something that trends higher 75% of the time. And also this pattern that we've seen of this institutional accumulation for months now, every gap down is bought over and over and over again. So if we end up breaking that today, that could be very interesting. Looking at, I don't think we have anything major other than Trump speaking happening at the end of the week. We had retail sales tomorrow. That could be a little bit interesting. But yes, we have this massive zone right here that we end up need to get through. So from a daily point of view, I think this breaks at some point. From an intraday point of view, I got to look at this and say we've gotten a long way to get to that level. So if we are going to get that pullback to VWAP that Mitch is looking at, you think it would happen somewhere up in this zone where we've got all of these highs for the SPY?
Looking at Dom H right now, just recovered $9. It kind of made sense there on the recent pullback to the 880s. I was looking to get in at the 877. Might have just gotten a little bit picky, looking for the washout below the 9, and then the recovery. But it's looking pretty good here. DOMH. We'll see if it takes off here now. This was kind of more of a penny stock, of course, and it was looking pretty good. I was just looking for the 877 pullback there, and it came right back. Hit 880. I was getting the limit order ready, and it just didn't go down through it. So, hey, it is what it is, guys. Sometimes you're going to get picky with the entry. Might not get in for a penny or two, but that can happen. SMCI is one of those stocks today, guys. And of course, you guys know how I feel about it. It's not about the stock itself, but I wanted to tell Michael more and more about kind of the strategy that I think that maybe he can try to work into a day trading strategy versus just a swing trade strategy, which was the hourly recovery of the support. So clear example is right here on SMCI, right? You can see it on the hourly, even before this action happens, right? You're like, okay, so the support's down here towards, let's say, the 38.49. In the pre-market, you had a little bit lower, right? You had it down towards the 38s, 38.03. So on the opening action, I'd look for either on the 30-minute chart or the hourly chart, a wash through that level and then a recovery. A lot of times you'll get that recovery and the test back down. Perfect example. This comes back towards 38.27, holds it, and then really recovers the VWAP and starts to move back higher. This is how I used to go after a lot of swing trades that I think could be a strategy that maybe Michael could adapt towards more of a day trading strategy. So essentially looking for those hourly long washouts on strong charts and then waiting for them to recover there. On the 1 minute, this will look like this, right? So a lot of times you'll get like this. So you're looking for the breakdown and then the 3 attempts to the downside. So clearly what happens here, 1, 2, 3 attempts, and then look for what? Bullish engulfing candles on the reversal. So the 4th attempt comes here. It tries to wash. It probably even did a bid down, looking like it was going to break here. Maybe even gave a little bit of a wick towards like a look where the bid was at 30.71s and then starts to instantly come back. And all you're looking for is this kind of candle where you can get this kind of look. From there, I can draw a line on the support, the 38. And as long as the 38s don't break, I'm looking good. And look at that. It just clears 38 and doesn't even come back near it. So just a strategy to think about, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen these so many times, guys, especially in the bigger stocks like Apple, like Microsoft, like Tesla, undercut the support, wash out the bulls, bring it back. And the way that you can do it is try to combine it with a 1 minute or a 5 minute pattern at that bottom recovery. So once that pattern recovers, then you can start to get back in. MACD could be a nice little sign too for the crossback.
Might see me sometimes pick up my pencil here because as you're talking, right, this is how a systematic trader's brain, I guess, works in anything. Is I'm saying, okay, how would I find them? How would I be alerted when they happen? Right, you know, only one man. So I just start to think of, okay, so if I go to TradingView, is there built-in support and resistance indicators? And I think there is a lot already. We could do
look right here. Look at Apple. Right. So Apple's a stock that's been struggling. Look where it went to on the hourly. Hourly support, 235.65. Hourly comes down to 235.57. So you see the slight undercut to create the psychology of the washout, right? The scared traders then come back, right? Buy when panic. It's kind of like a Warren Buffett approach, right? And I think that that's one of the things that in day trading, you're looking for those types of setups where one side of the trade feels panicky and the other side of the trade gives you good risk to reward. That's another thing about these hourly support buys. You can go in and have some really good risk to reward because if you know if it comes back just to the resistance, that's already what, 91 cents higher? So use that, right? Use that to kind of get a better risk to reward on these strategies. Just something that I'm bringing up, guys, because I've seen it work time in and time out.
So this is interesting. So
I've continuing 1777 now, guys, almost 18. I like this one. 9 EMA recovery today on Mobileye.
Right. So again, this is how a systematic trader would start to look at these things and start to think about these things. Where, right. So now I just looked on the indicator library in TradingView. And there's this, if anyone wants to play with it too, I don't know if this is the one that I'd use, but it's just called support and resistance multi-time frame chart with signals. So this is something that I can go through and take a look at and say, hey, is this something? Because it did pick up just that. It picked up this break right here of support and then the retest of it. So now it's to the point where, okay, if that's going to end up being something that I can do, you can now set alerts on TradingView. Some people don't know this because it's actually pretty new. As opposed to setting it on a single symbol at a time, you can set them on lists. So it might be one of those things where I keep and maintain a list of names that are in play and interesting, and then they alert me when it happens. It's the same thing I'm doing with this strategy right here, where this strategy I've created myself, and it is looking for at this entire list. So as I add and remove things from this list, it will either alert me to them or not, depending on what's happening. Because again, for me, in the perfect world of trading, so I'm just sitting here doing my normal work, doing my normal trading, and I get an alert that comes in, then I open up the chart and take a look, then take a trade based on what's happening. So that's interesting. That SMCI, did it pick up the Apple that you just talked about? Let's see.
Beautiful.
Yeah, little wick and rip. So
I see these all the time, guys. And if I looked at the bigger stocks today, I wouldn't be surprised if this happened on a lot of the big boys. So Microsoft, very similar look, guys. And this one has the look that we just talked yesterday with the Emery band, right? Undercut. Look at that second undercut. Use that as the kind of the wrist down. Watch that undercut go through and recover that 407. Then you got the wrist, right? It could be even all the way down to the bottom, 71 cents. But where does the resistance get up to? $2.58. And if you look all the way up here, that's $3.28, right? So things like this is where I think it's just about risk and return also. The risk and return makes sense on these trades in the day trade action, and you're trading within the range. I'm not talking about buying these and looking for breakouts. That's the swing trade mentality, right? Where you're trying to catch a really good stock and catch the momentum, the pullback, and it goes. I'm talking more in looking at this in more of a day trading strategy where all you're trying to do is get it back to the resistance range and sell it. And do this all the time. Catch the hour support, sell it on the range, right? So we'll see what happens there.
So there's your SMCI again. So yeah, just you could take, if you have an idea like that, you grab TradingView or a Trend Spider or something, and you can have a chat with the AI. So I'm going to take this code today, and I'm just going to plug this into one of the AIs, and I'm just going to have a little chat with them. And I'm going to describe what it is that I'm looking to do, and that I want it to be alerted to when it happens. You can see it did pick up that SMCI right there, that undercut and rally, and feed it into a group of symbols and then start trading it. It's again, the beauty of what's going on here at Trade the Pool is that I can test all of these strategies on different accounts for relatively cheap. And when one of them inevitably ends up hitting well, then I've got an account. So as I always call it, it's like paper trading with a potential wicked outcome, right? If you paper trade just yourself or with one of the built-in paper traders, then you don't, if you're right, well, then you got to come and then apply more capital to it. The way I look at it, I'm just testing all of these strategies. That allows me to remain kind of unemotional when it comes to these things, knowing that eventually I'll come up with a strategy that works for me, that I'm able to consistently make money and pass one of these accounts. And then I'll have money in which to continue to trade that strategy, and then probably right away open another account to test new strategies. So yeah, something that I'm going to be interested in. I'll watch that for today, because it looks like it's looking at wicks, and then it's saying, okay, do you undercut that wick and then a pop back through? So I'll have a nice little chat with Claude about that when it comes later today, because yeah, the question with something like that, when it's so discretionary, is just, I always look, how can you automate? Be lazy when it comes to your trading. For swing trading, it definitely worked for me, where I was in the past still doing okay with my swing trading, but I was going through like 200 charts every single night and then trying to ping things. So narrowing that down with back tests and with systems and with alert bots and all this kind of stuff really, really helped out my trading overall, because it removed all of the stuff that I was doing in my head that I didn't need to do, that there was no benefit in me doing, right? That's one thing one of my trading mentors always used to say. He said, you should sit there at the end of the day and you should just have a beer, a glass of wine, or whatever, and say, what didn't I need to do today? What could I have passed off to an assistant? What could I have passed off into, if I had a junior trader, especially now in the world of AI, that thing, whatever it is, could be automated. And then the more you automate, the more different systems that you're able to do, and the more different systems you're able to trade. Again, it just diversifies risk. It smooths equity returns. In a perfect world, you're taking tons and tons of trades every single day from different strategies and different ideas, but it's not burdening you mentally because most of it is automated. Most of it is systematized. Again, I'm always pinging the CEO and said, hey, how can I get some auto trading in here? How can I get some send more and more orders? This is one of the systems I'm doing. I'm filling out 30 orders and then just hitting as it opens up. I'll show you the screen, but I'm just hitting send order, send order, send order, send order to place a bunch of them out there because, yeah, the more you can automate, the better, in my opinion.
VIX trade looking better and better. Q's continuing to pop. AVGR was one that I was looking at right now off of a 64-cent entry, but I don't do these real penny plays too often. Oh, there's one name that I can maybe look at, Momentous. I was looking at Momentous and Black Sky to see if those names would move today. Black Sky has been pulled back after an opening rip, but just keeping an eye on those names. Tempest, though, man. Woo. Lifting. 84 now, 85. Good Lord, Nancy Pelosi, the best trader of them all.
Oh, come on.
Forget
Nancy.
the big short, the big long, Nancy.
Mm-hmm. Come on, Nancy. My car was making some funny sounds today, and I own this one, so I'd love to see a news report come out that she bought more, right? Just
Grrr.
Hammer that through. Another question.
Michael,
does volume play a part in creating or measuring systems? I essentially just look at price and indicators myself. Volume could be a metric. The reason I don't really care too much about volume is because if I'm swing trading, I don't really care that much because I'm just trading off price patterns, and liquidity is not a massive concern when swing trading because you're always taking relatively small positions for long periods of time, and it's irrelevant how long that position is going to take in order to mature, right? I don't care if I'm in Tempest. I got in on this candle right here. So that is January 30th. So I've been in this for about 2 weeks. That's fine. I'll be in it for 2 months I'll be in it for 2 years if it continues to grind higher. I don't really care. Day trading, I'd say volume is much more important because your fills are more important, in which you're looking to you're scalping more. So when you're trading for smaller size, liquidity matters way more. When you're trading bigger and slower, liquidity matters a little bit less. Also, I need to be out these things by the end of the day, so you need to do something. So I need to be trading something that people care about and that are moving at that day. So it's different when it comes to it, again, because with Tempest, if it stops moving for 2 weeks, it doesn't affect me because I'm just holding it until the trend changes in some respects. Now TDD is getting really, really close here. So the entry is going to be about $84. Stop's going to be about $82. So it's going to be a really small position, but so it's like 25 shares for $50 risk. But let's take a look at TDD.
All right, so starting to see a little slowdown on the Qs. Just a warning out there. Starting to see a little slowdown there.
This one is, now that it's getting later in the day, if I end up taking this trade, it will just be, right, take it small and just kind of hold it. So if it's, $2, that'll be 25 shares on the buy. Because again, what I'm looking on these trades is just, do we get a reversion back to the 2-day VWAP? If so, great. And then if not, again, I need to limit my risk. The upside here, the 2-day VWAP is going to be about $90 a share, give or take. So It's one of those I'm risking $2 a share, and if this thing's right, I'm making $7 a share, which is over a 3-to-1 risk reward. So that's a trade that I kind of have to take all day, every day. But because we're getting close to lunchish and the end of the stream, this will be more of a set it and forget it style trade, which I think, now that I'm thinking this out loud, right, the morning I should be more scalp worthy. And then these trades that happen later in the day, I should probably be more position trade focused, where there's more of a chance of a trend that's occurring later in the day than there is, when you're just trading right off the open and everything's super wiki.
I agree,
PPAI.
man. I agree with exactly that. Looking around out there, guys, trying to find one of these smaller names now, getting a run. PLRX, kind of getting a lift off of $3 there. Already making a little bit too big of a move there to catch it, but just looking at reversals out there. There's one that I'm watching, SOPA, off the bottom there. It looks interesting off the $5 there. The only problem with this is there's no volume coming into the name. And so without the volume, I don't think it could get back to 6, and it could do a little bit of a daily fake out, where the daily looks like it's trying to get there and it doesn't get there again. So it's not a bad one to watch. I just think, the volume's completely died. It traded 1 million shares in the kind of the third 15-minute candle, and now it's only trading like 77,000 shares. So we need to see some spike come back into that there. All right, guys, we'll see what else is out there.
Just take a quick pop into the SPY, see what's going on here. We continue to grind higher.
Ooh, momentous.
Oh, that's got some love in your heart, because that's the one you pass the challenge on, isn't it? Right?
Oh,
You're
you
always going
know
to
how
look
that can
fondly
be.
at that one.
Yeah, momentous, trying to get the momentum going, guys. Black sky, I can look at maybe for recovery back down, for it to come right back.
Yeah,
That's just like reversal back there. PL is another one that's been doing decent there. RKLB in the space theme. ASTS, of course, been the best name there. But they're not having the craziest day.
So this uptrend here, just drew a little uptrend line in the SPY, continues. There's no reason to end up being short this name, at least for now. The SP 500 continues to grind higher. We are still just butting up against all of these highs. We're through these last two. This reversal was is this the tariff day, I believe? It's hard to remember all these, but these two red candles that happened, these pretty bearish candles that happened from one side to the other, if we're through those, everyone that's shorted in that range ends up being completely wrong, and we need to kind of go from there. So Mitch, I don't know if you got the layout all set up, but we have a little visitor here.
Let's do it. Let's bring on the man himself. You guys see him in the chat sometimes. The V-Sync, my man Tim. What's up? How we doing?
Hey. Doing well. So yeah, I was up a little late, and then was trying to pull the last bits of this together. But yeah, I just wanted to follow up. So we've been doing a fun event. We did an event related to the Super Bowl on the Trade the Pool Discord, where we basically had all the stocks for the advertisers who ran TV ads during the game, and we put them into brackets, and we're basically kind of made our predictions on what we thought would be the most volatile during this week. And I was actually just pulling in the numbers for to see how that's actually going so far. But I thought it would be interesting to see real quick what we have in terms of those predictions and how it actually stacked up to the volatility last year. And basically this ties into kind of a trading I don't want to say system, but a little trading technique that I will use sometimes, which is, are we able to put it up on the screen here?
Yeah, I got you, my friend. There you go.
Cool. So yeah, basically what I'll do sometimes is I'll actually look for those stocks, like, you know how you can see the earnings predictions, right? If you look at earnings whispers, often they'll have the options predicted move, right? And they also have the average move, right? The average earnings move. And it's kind of neat because sometimes you can see right there that a larger move is not priced in by the market necessarily. And so that's usually what I'll end up doing there is just actually say, hey, let me, this might be one worth playing. And it's a little bit trickier with with Trade the Pool because you can't necessarily play the event itself, and you got to be directional. But it also tells me, hey, you know what? Maybe there's a sleeper here. Maybe there's going to be a larger earnings run up. Anyway, so what I thought would be interesting to do here would be to contrast. So this is step one. Is basically to contrast the basically these results we got from the voting from the brackets with the actual volatility last year, which was actually how I paired them up to begin with, right? So Burke B, which was interesting, a lot of people were predicting that one to be a higher volatility this week. So I'm not sure if they were reading the directions because it was supposed to be percentage move, or if people were just counting on just a big macro move and that being a safe thing. But then again, Dash was number one. They had earnings, and boy, did they have a big move, right? So I think HIMS came out on top. Let me actually just double check. I was just plugging this in here. So if I go here,
yeah, HIMS has been a bit of a wild child.
Yep. Let's see. So, and
HIMS turned into everything.
HIMS, Nerd Wallet, Rock. Anyway, so I don't know which way is easier to look at it. It would be good, like a scatter plot, I think. So I'm still actually working this out because this was a new idea we had this year. But now I wish I had thrown together a scatter plot because that would have made it completely visually obvious. But I don't know. Anything jump out at you or any thoughts? I can tell you these were our numbers here, right? So this was actually the rounds that they got eliminated in, right? So we eliminated, see, and the volatility rank is the highest here, so it's actually kind of reverted. But so I can swap that. But yeah, we had like Nerd Wallet, Instacart, Flutter, CRM all get eliminated. And then down at the end we had like Dash. So what's interesting is checking in on Dash. Obviously they have big moves. We've been looking in at the charts on some of them, but
Fox is interesting. That's just the thing's been on just zooming out on the long-term chart, just a massive trend. I'll just pop over quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it's just like, look at this guy, just an insane trend. I like the short-term kind of trade here too, just because we had a gap up on earnings, sold off for 4 or 5 days. Now it looks like we might be doing that kind of rounded bottom or horseshoe type pattern. So Fox might be one that's interesting. I have just not a stock that I look at too much because it's usually not a very volatile name. But yeah, just seeing that coming through the list is kind of interesting here.
Yeah, well, they had so some of these were indirect because that was through they had Tubi, right? I mean, the game was streaming on Fox, and then shown on the Fox channels, and then they had Tubi also was their own streaming app. So some of these were indirect. I'm actually just sure you pulled it up, but I was just gonna pull that up myself and see. I'll just look at yours. But yeah, the other interesting thing was there was a couple, and I'm curious your take on this. Was there were a couple of these that were actually they have 2 classes available, right? So Fox has Fox and Fox A, Berkshire, obviously Berk A, Berk B, and Google, right? Goog and Google. And so I'm curious on those. When I looked at the volatility of those, just from what the system put out, and then also on a chart, it looked like the non-voting shares had more volatility for a given event, so they were looking like they'd be more interesting in most cases for day traders. But I'm curious if you've had a experience either way with that.
Yeah, I think Burke is Burke is obvious, right? And there's no one that can trade the really A class with any kind of thing. But Google, I know, is one that pretty much all active traders will trade Google, the L version, just because, again, a little bit more activity, a little more liquidity to it, so a little more reaction when it comes to news. And given the option, most traders don't care because they don't. I think most shareholders don't vote anyway, so certainly most traders don't end up voting. So they're just going to go for whichever one of those assets just provides the most liquidity to them.
Yeah, interesting. I think because Goog is the non-voting one, right? I believe that's what it was.
I think, yeah. So I think it's one of those, because they're indifferent, it will just be which one of these things has the highest share or the highest volume amount. So what's going to give me the most liquidity? Because the difference isn't going to be significant, or else there'd be an arbitrage opportunity, right? You could short one.
Yeah, unless there's a big earnings event coming up, or a big vote coming up, right? But
yeah. But, and you gotta, then that gets into all kinds of complicated stuff. Like, you gotta look at the cap table. Like, how much does any investor even have when it comes to Google? I bet you most of that's held internally. So you look at CEO and board, and they probably hold like Meta. I know it doesn't have two classes, but Meta, I know there's no point even voting, right? Because Zuck owns the large majority of kind of everything when it comes to what you see there. So yeah, most of the times, just give me whichever one is more liquid, because if it saves me a couple ticks in and a couple ticks out, even if I'm investing, I might as well take the couple ticks if I'm never planning on voting in anything.
Yeah. And one funny note also, I'm just going to actually run this for the week, as in the middle of doing this for our Trade the Pool traders. But my sleep schedule's been all over the map this week. But one thing that was kind of funny is this code actually is, until I'm changing it now, is verbatim from Grok. It actually wrote this for me, which is pretty crazy, because I did just a gander over it, and I went through a couple iterations with it, and it's a weird feeling, man, because if you see, we went from the 10th to the 16th. Yeah, it's a strange world we're in, because now you can do this, and you have to know what it is you're doing, though, because otherwise it'll make stuff that's perfectly sensible. Like a different AI was just telling me things about, Grok was actually telling me, I forget what the question was, but yeah, they'll just blithely say wrong answers or give you nonsense code, or give you something that's not nonsense, but it's doing something subtly different. And the temptation is so easy, right, to just take it and run with it. I mean, my suspicion is I pretty much never take anything off the shelf code wise. In this case, I did, just because it wasn't of significant import, and the novelty was what I was doing. But yeah, I see the world becoming a very weird place. We'll just say that.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, guys, one I'm looking to get right now, Robin. Of course, that's the leverage Robinhood name. And the reason why I'm looking at this right now is I feel like this is a nice setup for recovery. The only thing is I just kind of wait a little bit to get the crossover on the 5. So I'm looking to see if I can get the crossover on even the 1 minute right here on ROBN. Looking to see if Robinhood can make another move. Another stock that did exactly what we talked about, Michael, undercutting the hour, recovering. So that's the thing too, is like what I like on that strategy that we talked about is looking for the strong stocks, because those are the ones that are probably going to get the bulls washed out at the open and the recovery to come back in.
Yeah. No, that's something that'll be part of the mission today. When I'm offline, I'm going to see if I can automate that at least slightly. Like Tim was talking about, I'll go to Claude or XYZ, whatever. They all seem to be kind of the same, and try to figure out which one of those I can end up playing with. That will give a decent result when it comes to systematizing that. Because I'd love to build a little strategy that's just something we do on stream. We'll have our own lingo, our own codes. I still like the idea of when we come up with something like that, we do the 1 trade a day challenge. We pick the same strategy. We pick the same rules behind the same strategies. We open maybe one of those 80K accounts or something. And then,
right? I mean, we could even do it in the demos. We can open the demos and we can have fun with different strategies just to test them. and to test a bunch of them.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I would recommend for you traders out there, especially. You got always a demo account to test something. Sometimes it always doesn't make sense to ruin your eval because you want to test something, right? So sometimes just going into the demo and using that, and we gave you access to it. If you have any issues or you maybe used a demo in the past and you can't get into it again, just hit up my man Tim.
Yep. So out of curiosity, was anybody? I'm curious if anyone was trading any of these tickers in particular, like off of the off of we put it out in Discord. We had a few discussions on some of it, but I'm curious if you guys or anyone from the audience were trading these directly. I know some years there was the Pepsi, people were trying the Pepsi Super Bowl trade, but.
All right, guys, looking
Tim's.
for Robin to start making that move, guys. I'm probably going to take that trade. I will give you guys a heads up that I might take that one. I'm not in it right now. I'm going to call it a day, at least for the time being. Great day for me, guys. Not taking a trade in the live account, respecting myself that I just didn't catch the right moves with the right timing. Not a single trade in that account, guys. And you guys can see it right here, down 18. I'll show you guys that really quickly before we get out of here. Down 18.75. Didn't see it. I looked at Archer here to maybe get the buy back to 1020s, but the only problem there, the 1 minute cross not there yet. The 15-minute setup still there, guys. So that's kind of a longer term approach based on the daily. So you can see kind of the break back, the trend line, trying to recover that 69.70. Be something I'd look at, but I'm going to leave it alone for now. Take the 424 in the eval and just keep pushing along, guys. We'll see what happens out there.
How's BLDE doing?
BLBD, you said?
BLDE, right? Archer's the
Blade. Yeah, Blade.
Right?
Yeah. So yeah. I would be looking at Archer or Joby over Blade, but that's just because I think they're higher quality and kind of varies charts that trade similarly versus like a Blade that trades a little bit off of those two. I think they don't trade as clean as Joby and Archer just because of the potential upside. Up is another one, right? Wheels Up experience, but I don't think those are doing well. I think you stick with maybe the Archer or Joby in this situation. And why? Because those are the ones that are getting the investments and have the attention. But we'll see what happens out there, guys. It's over 11. We stayed a little extra. Do me the favor, hit the like button so I don't get yelled at. Like always, guys. We'll see you guys, of course, back on Monday. Man. Monday, guys. Enjoy your Fridays.
Monday or Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Ooh. Tuesday, man. Tuesday. We get a nice little 3-day weekend, guys. I'm sorry about that. As you guys can see, I wasn't ready for Monday.
Who knows? Maybe if I came on, I'd be able to code live on it because I'm certainly bungling something this morning as I try to tweak this. But yeah. How many holidays we have? There's so many holidays in January. It's ridiculous.
A lot of IQ here. I agree, man. There's one thing that I think we'll continue doing, and you see Michael and I doing it, and we kind of like test each other's knowledge, and there's a reason why. It's because you guys can learn from that, right? Sometimes we'll disagree, sometimes we'll agree with each other, but that's what trading's all about. Find people that you can talk about this, understand that you guys won't always have the same vision, but that's what it's about. It's learning from each other so that you guys can implement strategies of your own. Steph and everyone out there in the chat, we appreciate you guys sticking around till the end. That's going to do it for us. We'll be back, of course, back on Tuesday. Be safe out there, guys. And, of course, don't forget, they'll be trading tomorrow. Where do you go? To the Discord, man. With my man, Tim. Check it out tomorrow, guys. Go to the Discord. See what they're doing. Who knows? Maybe Tim does a little bit of a push there. I'm going to push him to do a little bit more live trading out there, guys. You guys smash the like. We'll be back on Tuesday.